I'm gonna throw this. I'm gonna throw this to squad because I know Callie was interested.
There. Pull it out. That's the link there. So we are live now.
Oh, I have a friend I should maybe some of that stuff too.
These two.
Yeah. Because I mentioned the thing to them, and they were like, "Ooh, let me know how it goes." And I was like, "Wait, I could just send them a stream link."
Yeah, well, because even
Okay.
if they don't catch it live, they can still catch the VOD here on Twitch, and then I think like a week or so later, I usually upload it up onto YouTube for archives. So.
Yeah.
That's how I got into watching stuff. I'm very bad at watching stuff live. I'm very good at watching stuff after the fact, like watching the archives back.
The VODs, yeah.
Yeah. If I see the chat.
What? Chat interaction? Crazy.
Alright.
How is this author going to make a billion jokes?
It'll be a long road for those jokes.
Getting from there to here.
Yep.
Hello, everybody. I'm AD Springer, also known as Corbin.
Get it out of the way.
This is the Electric Metropolis video game tour, and we are playing today. This is our session 0, our episode 0 of Fabula Ultima, and the title of our campaign will be The Castle That Would Pierce the Horizon. Fabula Ultima is for those who don't know, is described as a JRPG, TTRPG, so think Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Dragon Warrior, Genshin Impact, that sort of high fantasy style of game. And it is, they really call them out. Call them out. Shout them out, what I mean. Yes, in their words, a Japanese style console RPG is what it's based off of. So those sort of games. I will warn that this is the first time I've ever run it. I think this is the first time everyone here is playing it. So
I never heard about it until today. So, well, not today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until I was introduced, yes, same.
Yeah, we've had a couple weeks to kind of look at the book and him and haw at it, and we're doing our session 0 because the way Fabula Ultima works is that Fabula Ultima is there is a GM, there are players, so that is a thing, but it is collaborative in a lot of ways. Starting from and including what type of fantasy it is, which we've already decided that before the stream. The ones they have in the book are, you can do whatever, but the ones they suggest in the book are high fantasy, natural fantasy, techno fantasy. High fantasy being the things you would see in most JRPGs, floating castles and knights on horses and fighting dragons and all that stuff. High fantasy, big magic. Airships. Natural fantasy is a lot more toned down. It's a lot more villagey, a lot more, there's more nature than there is city. Cities aren't really a thing, villages are a thing. It's more about living in the world
It's very
around you.
Ghibli.
Very Studio Ghibli-ish, or
It's
some
very
of the parts
Ghibli.
or some parts of Atelier, for example. It's more natural. There are cities.
Yeah.
There are natural moments. It's a lot more about the nature, not the city. And techno fantasy is, well, Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8, a lot, very, very heavy on the tech with some fantasy in it. And your magic, literally, they call out Magitech. Magitech can be in the other ones, but techno fantasy, it's pervasive. It's everywhere. So we chose high fantasy. That doesn't mean we can't have trees and we can't have cities. It just means that we're more focused on the high fantasy aspect. That's the one thing we've decided before stream. The rest, like who our characters are, what the world map actually is, what the different realms are, we're going to figure that out together. So, but before all that, we are going to... I'm going to shout out, of course, that the music that you're hearing in the background is by Yu Fulka. Please check out their website. You may also see them as Wingless Seraph. I'm going to be pulling from their music most of the time. For those interested in playing the game, there is an official soundtrack. Fabula Ultima, I believe one of the links I saw was on Bandcamp. You can get music there to play in the background and stuff, which I may get that in the future, but I'm very attached.
Oh, that's
to
cool! I
Magic.
didn't see that.
Yeah, it's really good. Like they have like, you know, intro music, battle music, crisis moments, boss battles, airship moment, you know, things like that. It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
Ornon found
cool.
those. That was cool.
So, whoop, we're gonna pull us over.
Yeah, more TTRPGs need their own dedicated soundtracks.
Right?
And they actually said that if you want to use it for streams and stuff, they say you can. You just have to just let us know that it's what your link is, so we don't, you know, accidentally copyright strike you, because we don't want to do that. Just, you know, buy it and let us know. It's like, okay, so I might do that. But so the first thing I'm going to do is the thing I try to do is go through our game creation palette. This is a thing in Roll20 that people have out there, and it's a thing I try to do more often. And just basically checking in on what people are cool with, what they're not cool with, and letting everyone know that there is a tool that I have in the you can pull up safety tool cards. Don't know if Aura and Temsec, I believe you can. You might not see them right away. It'd be in the
I
lower.
see them.
There are
See
little
them?
cards in the bottom right corner of my screen. Yeah.
Yep. So just what you would do to use them, you would click choose, and then you would. The different things are ways that you can basically tell people, you know, if you throw an X card out, whatever's happening, whatever's going on, stop. You don't have to explain why. If something makes you super uncomfortable, or ick, or whatever, stop. And there's other ones as well, like pause and stuff like that. The big important one for me is the X. That's the definite big one. So that's a tool you can use. But also, as a preamble, as part of this zero, we are going to go through. First off, what are you all hoping to see in your Fabula Ultima world? Like, what kind of game are you hoping? What kind of things are you hoping to see? What do you want there to be in this world? What kind of adventure do you want to have?
I'm gonna nominate Temsec to go first. I sacrifice him.
Oh God, of course. Oh God. I think I just want to sort of see a good variety of like biomes and locales. Just, you know, got to get in our standard, you know, jungle world, desert world, water world, volcano world.
Oh, I can do that. Yeah.
And you know, a couple of you know, a couple of weird curveballs thrown in.
What, like the floating islands thing?
Yeah, just something like super weird.
Okay.
I'll know it when I see it.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're getting at. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I tend to be more of a role play than a combat person. I appreciate the occasional like challenging combat here and there, but for me, it's more about the characters in the world.
Yeah, and actually, Fabula Ultima will really lean into that as well, because a lot of when it has conflict scenes, it does really want you to skip the tiny combats. It only cares about the not necessarily boss battles, but like the big or important combats. And conflict rules also apply for stuff like social encounters or sneaking through somewhere. So that I can easily accommodate for sure.
Yeah. Very excited to see how clocks work.
Yeah, I love clocks. I love that.
Yeah,
mechanic.
I was gonna say Corbinian's real good at using clocks. I've seen him use clocks in Star Trek before, and those have always been like really fun, high tension.
Oh, the clock thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, the clocks.
Yeah.
I think it's from Blades in the Dark.
Yep, that's where it's been done in other things, but they're the ones most famous for doing it, I think. Or Powered by the Apocalypse.
Just got home. I'm going to be muted for a second to look at my computer.
I see how it is.
Right. Clocks.
Anything else for you,
But
Aura, you
also,
want to add into
clocks.
the
Clocks
list?
are cool.
I think I'll keep thinking on it as we're going.
Yeah, sure.
And then if I want to lip wrap around, something else comes to me.
Yeah, I always make sure to do a quick little check-in every once in a while anyway, so we can... Because these are things I'll pull from if I'm at a loss. So like, oh, I'll do a little bit of planning. It's like, oh, well, I know what people want to see, so I'll pull from there. We'll loop back to... Actually, it won't take too long. So one thing I'll say that I'm excited about, I am, especially with our high fantasy, I am excited to see your different worlds. Like I really, like I have a certain thing that I have, but also getting to world travel a bit, moving around a lot, which the various biomes will play into that, but also like we have a reason to kind of go to different places and see all the different lands. Because the little bits that we have at the start will be very, like we only have little packets that we're all working on for each of our worlds, but also we'll learn way more once we go there and start interacting with the random stuff. And it's like, okay, well, what does this mean? What does that mean? That sort of thing. Rather than getting too hung up on like a single village or a single town for too long. I mean, we'll have to sit still once in a while, but you know. And even with high fantasy,
it's the opposite of what we got going on in opposite of what we got going on in our Star Trek game right now, which is we're on a space station in the same place.
Yeah. Hello, Celtic Goth. Hello. Hi. We'll circle back because he does think he needs a bit of time to figure that out. So the things to look into are lines and veils.
We can throw it in there.
Lines are stuff that you do not want to talk about at all. You don't want it brought up. You don't want it in the game, period. It can be brought up like maybe in passing, but like you'd never center the camera on it. Whereas a veil is something you would hint at, but you don't want to know the details of it. Here at Timmy and Aura's invite. Oh, I'm sorry. No. I'm glad you're here. So my line, one of my lines, for example, is cruelty to animals. I don't mind fighting animals or fighting beasts, but like I'm not gonna have bad guys doing terrible things to animals. It just bothers me.
No kick the puppy.
No kicking of the puppy. Veil wise, romance or romantic scenes. I don't mind pointing out that someone found a romantic connection in it with one of the NPCs, or people are going off into the back room to do something. But I'm not going to go into details beyond the fact that we're on Twitch, but also just personal comfort reason. And I find most tables aren't. Different tables, different folk. Some people enjoy that stuff. Some people not so much. So those are like examples of lines and veils for me, at least. Are there any lines or veils that anyone here is like, nope, don't? This is a line, this is a veil for me.
I have a full PDF I can send to you. I keep mine always prepped.
Okay.
And I'll send that to you behind the scenes. Maybe at the end of this game, because I don't think we'll be encountering anything. But just to say something up front, I have pretty bad insectophobia. So you can use bugs just as long as they are not hyper realistic.
Insects. So no insect boss. Damn it. Insect bugs. I have love the lines and veils. Yeah, I learned to do that a lot more often because once I learned about it, it's like, oh, that's kind of a thing I was unofficially doing, and I didn't realize there was a way to structurally put it together. Insect bugs. Please avoid. Because in a different game, in the previous game we had for this slot, there was a certain type of attack that an enemy did. None of us realized it was a line that was bothering people, or a veil. We found out pretty quickly. I won't go into it, but it's like, it's one of those like, yeah, okay, I'll put that into the thing real quick.
Yep, I remember that.
Yep.
Oh, funny enough, insects, bugs.
Yeah. Any you want to call out there, Timzik?
I think one that came up actually in the last game we did that I think I'd like to throw back down again, was I'm not super huge on like slavery in games, at least
Mhm.
ones that are like you can't do anything about it, it's just a part of the world.
Societal.
Like if there's a plot to lead, yeah, I think
Yeah.
you might remember that from the last one.
Yeah, societal, unavoidable slavery. With a Z, apparently. Slavery. So if it's anywhere in the world, we can always do something about it. It's not it's just a thing, don't worry about it. It's like, no. I want to be able to beat up the bad guys. I don't want us to all be chill about it.
I think a line for me is like gratuitous violence, because like obviously you have to describe combat, but like you don't need to talk about in depth what part of them is getting stabbed.
Yeah, and in high fantasy it'll be a lot more slashing and
Gracious
stuff like that.
violence. That's some gracious violence.
I can't spell. There we go. And we can always add these there. So, if we don't put them, some can be sent to be behind the scenes if you don't want to put it out just here, especially on stream as well. But also, if we have something we figure out later, we can totally add it later. But we do have Scott back. Anything you're excited about that you want to be in the game?
Sorry, I just took a bite of food right as you asked.
Bite of food.
Okay, very funny.
Like the food.
I mean, we kind of already talked about.
Full stop.
Ha, very funny. I think we kind of already covered this, but just like getting to be able to like just interact and see all the different cultures. Part of the thing I like especially is like getting to know the culture. Be like, oh, how do they handle this? Like, what's it typically like here? That sort of thing.
I get you.
I
then
think
also-
it'll also be. I think it'll also kind of
like,
be cool
I guess
to
cool
like
magic.
visit different. Ooh, yes.
What was that? Magic?
Cool magic.
Cool magic. I was gonna do boring magic. Like
Yeah,
Neil
I'm-
Gaiman. Just kidding.
I'm definitely gonna double down on the different peoples and cultures because I'm a bit of a historian and world building fanatic.
Wahaha.
So I see I'm
Look,
among
I
like
think
minded
it'd be
people.
cool to
Yes.
yeah, I think it'll be cool to like visiting like multiple cities or towns within like the same cultural group or the
Mhm.
same nation.
No one-town empires. Okay.
At least for like the largest ones.
Well, heck,
Yeah,
even my
sure.
duchy when I plotted out, like
It's
I
like-
did some mapping and I found I still put in a few things anyway because villages are fairly present. Sorry, Scott, I cut you off.
I was gonna say, unless it's like tiny island nation, it's like, oh, they live on this one island. Then yeah, it makes sense to
Yeah.
have like a one town culture.
All right.
Yeah, not everything has to be a multi-settlement thing, but I'd like to see a few.
Super low. Down. All right, I think we'll get to the game proper. We can always come back and fill these in later.
Time to quietly export the canvas I've been working on before I forget.
Music. There we go.
So
So,
is this our duchy?
Ah.
so if you zoom out, I did use using hex Oxo? Yeah, hex
Oh.
Oxo. I've done a little bit of mapping, basic mapping based on what little I was told pregame. So these aren't the final positions of them or the final builds. This is just rough idea pictures I have of what places look like. But this will be just our landing page for now. Because we're gonna be using it a bit, I think. So first, let's learn what an
this is so
RPG
cool.
is. No. Color coded for your convenience, and mine. And that's the one that's more important. I mean, what? So. Alright, so the first thing we're going to go through is our world creation. So the first thing, of course, to touch on is that in this, all Fabula Ultima games have the same similar pillars. For example, one of them being that their souls, everything's connected through sort of the stream of souls. Some machinery can be based around it. And sometimes spiritual corruption can create monsters. But that's most of what Fabula Ultima touches on. But is there anything you want to add to that lore in this world? Is there anything extra about souls or how they work in our world?
Could you did have?
Look at
Your audio skipped right there.
Is that
page
written somewhere?
148. It's listed there.
It's
Yeah,
148 of the
148
book.
world creation. So
Follow me. 148.
Excuse me, a moment, everybody. Oh, those dice are in the wrong spot. Please go there. Thank you. Thank you very
I think one thing that might be kind of interesting to establish is how aware souls are of who they used to be. Whether they're just a vague consciousness or whether like they're the full person.
oh yeah, like you pull up the soul and you're like, hey, do you remember this in your life?
Yeah, whether it's just it just boils down
Yeah.
to essence.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys, what your guys' thoughts on that are.
I have something cooking in my lore, but I shan't say much about things.
Okay, so I imagine there's gonna. I'm thinking that maybe souls will have certain level of awareness, even when they're in the stream. But I would guess that the longer they're there, the less aware they are. Except for stuff like Arcana, like great spirits or ancient spirits that have been around that are tied to the land a lot more. Then it's like, well, that will be a lot more.
Yeah,
rare.
I was gonna say like there might be like yeah, there might be like extenuating circumstances in which a soul can maintain its sense of self for longer and more consistently because of circumstances. But what circumstances are and what rules they follow might be something we want to leave to the GM.
And actually, I'll scroll forward to 149 of the book just because those are things that I just realized those are talking points to keep in mind. So thinking about, we need to keep in mind how souls work in our world, what conflicts and struggles exist in the world between the different realms that we've created, if any, or if there's other realms that we didn't create, but we do create them, but it's like there may be like even like I'll explain it when I talk about mine, but like in short, in my realm, there is a conflict that is going on there. So there's technically 2 nations there, but one's a lot more detailed than the other. Put it that way. And also not being afraid to be fantastical and diverse. You know, you can have classical French or German castles, or you can have floating castles, ones in the sea, you can have elves in the forest, you know, whatever. That's, you know, the JRPG experience, if you will, the weird and strange. So the first step, of course, is figuring out the shape of our world. If it's round, flat, if it's on the back of a turtle, or if it's this confused me when I read the book. It said, could it be donut shaped in a typical JRPG fashion? I was like, donut shaped? Like, oh, right, it wraps around the world. Like, if you go to the bottom of the map, you pop up on the top of the map.
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing, yeah. Yeah, what kind of world are you hoping to have, everybody? Like, I'm good. Yeah. What's your thoughts?
I'm good with it being round, but we're only covering like a square portion of it.
Yeah, Europe, not the entire world, sort of thing.
Yeah, the map trails off into a corner, and it's like the sandstorm at the edge of Breath of the Wild.
There's something over there.
I think
there's definitely nothing behind this. Don't worry about it.
Is cool, just because I'm super into the concept of like astrological spheres and like planetary spheres and stellar magic as a concept. And for that to like really work, I think this world should also be one such sphere.
There we go. All right. Actually,
Shaped.
grabbing a map sheet that fits your concept. Yeah, we're drawing our own custom map in the astronomancy from chat. Magic of the stars. Actually, there's a thing in that. There's a type of magic called I forget what it's called. The Intrepus does it. Cosmic magic. And that's what that's pulling from.
Yes,
Pulls from the stars.
It's like
the cosmos.
Power from the void between the stars.
Yes, which doesn't sound cosmic horror at all.
No, not at all. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
So for those playing this, you can. There are in the book and in the PDF there are like preset maps that you can pull from. But I like map building, and once I get, like I said, this isn't the final map. This is just drawn out, and then I'll fill it in and connect stuff to each other. My thought, I will say, for scale, is I'm thinking that each hex is going to be a day's worth of travel, because that's how they measure things. They measure things so much in so many miles, so many kilometers. It's how much. Assuming it's a plane, assuming you're not climbing a mountain or a dense forest, each hex, I'm saying, it will take probably a day. If you're on a ship, you still move one day at a time on the water or the sea tiles. But if you have like a transport, so like a horse, a wagon, a magical train,
Airship,
I'm thinking will be like 3. It might be able to move like 3 hexes because it's literally flying. But something that's a ground effect vehicle, I'm thinking will move 2 hexes, or it will, so it moves a lot quicker in certain areas. It's
Yes, I
kind
do
of what I'm
believe the
thinking for
rules
scale.
mention that airships go 3 tiles.
Huh?
I believe the rules actually do mention it for terrestrial, aquatic, and flying vehicle.
Oh, do they? Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So that, and I think that'll fit the idea that this world's only. Actually, that's the other thing too. This is a partial map, so we're not having
It's a world that takes time to travel across.
Yeah, and the good thing is that you don't have. I mean, much as I am a champion of random encounters per day, I like some games that are built around that. In Fabula Ultima, it's like you kind of just you skip to the cool part. You don't worry about each individual day. You don't track each individual beef jerky. It's no. You get to this part, a cool thing happens. Or maybe you need to do a test so you don't get lost, but you're not really doing day-to-day survival. But you do need to know how many days it takes you to get places, so you can start planning, so you have an idea of scope and how long it'll take you to get somewhere. Like, oh no, the bad guys are going to get to this place in a week. Well, it's going to take us right now 2 weeks to get there, so we have to figure out how we're going to get there faster. Or just deal with the fact that they're going to be there ahead of us.
Oh, I love that you're still doing. I love that you're still doing the thing where if you mouse over a city, it tells you the name.
Yep. So,
Yes.
if you mouse over those little icons up on my place, actually all the things that I think, the little wooden tokens, I have some placeholder names for stuff. Like, I mean, the duchy, I named everything because I knew exactly what I wanted there, but I gave some, like, choreo for this realm, and
Right.
we haven't figured out the name of the Imperial capital yet, but that we'll figure that out.
We'll get there.
We will get there. So the next thing is how magic and technology works in our world. If magic is seen more of as a science or mostly as a mystery. I'm thinking, from what some people have told me, I'm thinking that, especially in a high magic setting, magic, depending where you are, magic is either very connected to the spirits, but also there is this new wave of magitech coming. Like there's technology coming that's mastering that magic and putting it into objects. But there's also this very older, almost natural magic past that's fading away into this more modern magic.
Yeah, I like that. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I don't
tech,
have
like, are we
anything
thinking
specific
Renaissance,
to add
then?
on that because, yeah, magic renaissance. Because I explicitly didn't put much in the way of like magic stuff in my particular bit of setting lore, just because I figured I'm not gonna mess around much with magic, and
No, I get you.
I'll leave that for the other players to carve out.
How do you feel tech-wise? I am thinking sort of, actually maybe even touching on that, some level of, especially since firearms can be a thing in Fabula Ultima. There are very Renaissance era, like early Renaissance era, to in some degree. It's like, well, people know what guns are. They wouldn't, if they see one, they're not going to be flabbergasted by it. But it's not. There's still a lot of militaries that are still sword and pike and shield.
They're complicated to build and maintain.
Yeah.
Outside of certain areas where they're more
Crossbows
common.
are so much better.
So new target's hard to maintain. Like, it's a thing, but it's like, you know.
Only like elite troops only elite troops in an army might carry them because they're costly to maintain. So you give
Kinda
them
like-
to your best men.
Kind of like chariots. In that sense.
Yeah, you didn't have the entirety of Greece on chariot or Rome in chariot. It's like, no, these things are expensive and complicated to build, and we have to teach how to use them. You're not all getting one. I'm sorry.
You show up with a couple hundred, it's like, well, let's go home,
Yeah.
guys. They win. Game over.
Yeah, it's not like the Napoleonic Wars where everyone has a freaking gun.
Now line up in straight lines, everyone.
Yes. So in that sense, given that era, that means that compasses are probably a thing. So open sea travel is a lot more doable than, say, a medieval era ship would be, or an ancient ship would have been.
Yeah, so we're thinking like Age of Exploration type sailing tech then, where it's just like you got compass, you got your like, what are those called?
Astrolab?
Triangle thing. Astrolabe. Thank you. You got your Astrolabe.
Sextants,
of
that's
course,
the other one
magic.
you're thinking of.
Ah,
Your
you're right. You're right.
sextants.
I'm
Yeah,
from a
sex
maritime
definitely.
region. I have to know those things. It's the law. Any other notes about the tech that you want to hammer down now?
I mean, the region I've submitted is already the Magitech region of sorts, but it can kind of spread out. That just like firearms, that it exists, but it's some other places are slower to adapt.
Yeah, I get you.
And yeah, not everyone can use it.
Yeah, just to
Yeah,
give you guys more
but
freedom in your
it's
world
not
building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not the easiest to use, so the people who have it can't just steamroll the people that don't with superior technology.
Maybe
This
they
isn't
will.
Civ 6.
So actually, to that end, so give, how much is magic understood? Is it sort of is it in that sense of people understand magic way more than they used to, sort of thing, or is it still a big mystery? Magitech is a sign of wealth, Celtic saying. I could see that, like any
Yeah.
high tech, I could see it like being a thing of, because oh god, I can't type
Oh
it.
yeah.
I could see it being like, especially if like
Make me
presuming this
imagine
was
it
the
in
map,
place.
right? I can imagine stuff coming from the Magitech realm, and it's like, well, if you want it all the way up in the duchy, it's like it takes time to get there. And if you want to ship it, go ahead. You want to buy it,
Gotta pay
it'll
shipping.
spread out
Yeah,
to you.
you got to import that stuff.
So maybe Magitech may
Oh.
be harder to get for some
You
people
got
the
to
further you get
import that.
from the places that
Yeah.
have it.
Yeah, you got to import that stuff, and boy, if you thought it was expensive in the place it comes from, try importing it.
I'm not gonna carry that thing there. You do it.
You couldn't pay me. Oh, that's a lot of money. I will, in fact, carry this for you.
Oh, that's a lot of Senate.
So the next bit is the bit that and this is why I definitely want to give everyone a chance to have some idea what, especially when we were figuring out what world it is. Doing creating each of our kingdoms and nations. So in Fabula Ultima, for those who don't know, there is no set Fabula Ultima world. The world is built by the players. I, as a GM, can create some. I don't have to create anything really, but I threw in something just to have an example. It's like, here's an idea of what I'm looking for, and plus I like world building. Well, I want to do something too. But the rest of the world beyond what I made, I don't know. I know more now because people have sent me stuff and asked for feedback and stuff. But like, I don't control that, and stuff may have changed between when people told me stuff to today. So, but this is the day we're hammering down. Not every little tiny thing. We don't need to know precisely where each little bit of road is, how many mines they have, do they have windmills? It's like, no. We just need to know certain things. And they can be kingdoms, they can be empires, they can be nations, they can be big, they can be small. 2 of you did empires, so that's going to make life interesting for me.
Politics.
But also,
I have
what
more information for you. I'm still working on it. I
Politics.
got more.
the thing that we're going to be doing as well is once each of us are going to go in turn, describing what our world is like as we know it now, and we can always learn more about it later as we get there. Because the thing about Fabula Ultima is being flexible. We have certain things that we know, like for example how magic and tech work, but you know, how precisely are you guys? How are your heroes going to deal with it? How are they going to deal with it? How do monsters appear? We'll learn more about that. And also, once we've gone through, each of us going through what each of our realms are, then we have to figure out now that we know what each of these realms are, how do they interact with each other? Do we even know each other exist? Given the map that we're on, we're close enough that each of the realms probably knows about each other, at least, if not trading with each other. So we'll have to figure out a little bit how much that matters. And you can contribute in Fabula Ultima. You can't contribute more than one kingdom or realm, but you always do at least one, so everyone adds a little bit to the world. And I'll map out more stuff as we're going along. And I am going to color code the things, that way we know what nation or what empire it is. Like, this light green one is my duchy. This red one is a certain republic, and this purple one is a certain empire. And there's a fourth one that's out there somewhere, but I don't know anything about it yet. But even if we keep them far apart like this, like they don't, I might puzzle connect them together. Like I might pull these guys into each other and connect them, or I might leave gaps. It's like, well, we know these exist. It's like, which way is it? It's that way somewhere. What's exactly there? Well, it's not terribly known. Maybe not.
Yonder.
It's wilderness, or it's the Holy Roman Empire, or I don't know. Surprise! Spanish Inquisition.
Yes.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
So the first one I'll go is there is this area. I just zoomed in way too much. This middle one here is the Duchy of Guacamal. It is a place who they're a place that I have a full write-up for them. Those seen. I won't read them all here on stream, but in summary, the Duchy of Guacamal is a place where someone came to a foreign knight came to this duchy, and it was once a free place, very steeped in ancient magic, with a sacred grove and guardians of the forest and the sacred mountains, and that someone came to conquer the area. They conquered the realm with using dark blade magic, and then by the second generation. The second generation was a spiritualist, a light mage, who learned that the conquering people just by the sword wasn't really going to work. The locals didn't like this foreign interference, and they had to figure out. It's like, well, we don't want to leave, but we can't keep doing what my father did. So I'm going to learn how to create a sort of syncretic religion. I'm going to bind the religion of my old world to this new world and make a new faith that unites the peoples who came here and the people who are already here. So it's a lot more, I'm imagining almost like a sort of, I called it in my write-up, Eclipsean syncretism, or Eclipseanism. The idea that there is the sun and the moon, and when they're united together, the cosmos are more united and more powerful that way. So in the same way, the Dark Church, or the Great Church, is uniting with the more sun magic of the realm, and they're kind of uniting in that sense. And she kind of brought peace that way. There are locals who still... The original place the Conquerors... When the old Great Church, wherever it is on the map, like it might be in one of your realms, or it might be like that way somewhere. There was the old religion, and they said they don't like that the second person changed stuff. So, but she does, and the people who live here in the duchy do, and the people who live in the forests like it because they get to do their tradition. Their sacred grove isn't being almost burned down all the time. They actually get to have festivals and not worry about the people up in the castle trying to kill them. But there are old-fashioned spiritual forest folk and mountain folk who really don't like this. They feel like, these outsiders are coming in, spoiling everything. It's like, no, we're honoring. We go to church every, rest day, but we come down every equinox to celebrate the trees and celebrate the ancients with you, because that's just as important. We acknowledge that they're important. So I mapped it as fairly small, because duchy, I was thinking it was only so big. There are some mountains, there are some forests, there are various plains, but it's fairly dense with the castle, the titular castle that would pierce the sky. More about that later. There's a couple of cities, towns, and some surrounding villages, but they're very isolated. Their main trade being stuff like the black stone, or the dark stone, which is used for dark blade magic, or dark blade users. And the current duke, who is the son of the light mage, he himself is an entropist, a cosmic mage. And he was part of a thing called the Celestial Convergence, which on a certain holy day in the Eclipsean calendar, which basically was where a major eclipse centered dead on over the castle that would pierce the horizon. they pulled from that magic, and they pulled it into themselves and mastered cosmic magic, and then released the excess into the castle. So the castle is imbued with this very powerful cosmic magic that, one, it helps protect the castle more, but it also means that the current duke can protect their duchy very easily without a really big army. Well, easily compared to before. And now, though, the problem is, though, with that, is that there is one of the great mysteries of the world is that there's these whispering ruins, these old places scattered throughout the duchy that used to exist in the old church, but because of the first duke who came, who kind of wrecked a lot of stuff, there's a lot of old knowledge that got lost in ruins and buried in old. And now the new duchy, the new people, the united people, are trying to figure out what we lost, because a lot of the new priests have found out that there's this event, this threat, which is the Veils unraveling. This sort of mystical catastrophe that could threaten the world because of a tear in the fabric of reality that was caused partially by the first duke who came to conquer, because they were kind of whatever it takes attitude, and the current duke, the grandson of that duke, is trying to use instead of using dark magic to fix it, they're trying to find a way to cosmically heal that, but they need to find heroes to help them figure out what they lost. They have a lot of power, but they don't know what to do with it. They don't know what they need to do with it. They just know that they needed a lot of it to fix whatever is wrong. Industry-wise, they're very agricultural, magical craftsmanship, lots of magical artifacts with mystical stones, dark steel, like I said before. And of course, the Castle Highmount, the one I've been talking about, its special power is that it can move one of its gates to anywhere in the world. So it literally pierces the horizon and can place itself anywhere else. So the plus side is they can pretty much go anywhere in the world that way. Downside is if that castle gate was attacked while it's there, people can get into Castle Highmount. So they have to be very careful where they're putting it and making sure it's not like right in a city, because then you're plopping a big castle wall in someone's town. That's not friendly, and you might hurt somebody. It's like, we're not trying to start wars with people, but we might need to use the current duke wants this power because they want to be able to look for heroes and help them get to where they need to go, or help rescue people who are trying to flee. That's the summary, more or less, of the Duchy of Wokmal.
Ooh. It was very
Very
in-depth.
nice.
Thank you.
I could keep going, but we only have so many hours in the day.
All right. Should we roll a 1v3 to see who goes next, or?
I can go next just because mine is simultaneously, well, I don't have all of the details fleshed out, but I think I have like just the base of it to go with.
Okay.
And also I will have to be driving in the next 15 minutes, so I'd like to get it out of the way now.
Okay.
I messaged Temzik a little bit about this, but the name of it is the Wadi Il Khanate, and basically it's fantasy Mongol Empire. So, very well. They're starting to become more, what's the word? Sedentary, like founding cities and empires and stuff. But they started off as nomadic, like wandering tribes, just kind of banded together, eventually formed under one leader. So their the thing that they're best at least is mounted combat, so mounted combat and archery, essentially. So they rely on speed and the fact that they can just shoot you with like 1,000 magic arrows, which usually solves most problems. So that's kind of that's basically all the vibes I was going with. They might kind of be more expansionist than other people, mostly just because they like space and land. And then one of the fun flavor things I was thinking is that they have some sort of magical mount. So instead of like a horse, like some sort of magical creature that they tame and ride.
Horse 2.
Horse 2.0. Yeah.
Horse 2.0 electric boogaloo.
So probably
Yeah.
like griffins or
Yeah,
something like that.
Griffins
Yeah.
I think would be cool because I was thinking about like, oh, what if they had flying mounts to make them all the more scarier?
The
So, like,
Eagles
yeah.
from Lord of the Rings, but
Ooh,
evil.
could be cool if they could be cool if they have like some of those like tent cities, like those moving roving tent cities.
Yeah.
But like mixed with like amp.
Yeah, especially with magic, it's much easier to just because aren't magical tents literally an item in the game?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Hey, maybe they're the
magic
ones
cities.
who figured those out.
Yeah, that could make sense. Yeah, 'cause there's griffins, and then a lot of their magic is focused on. It's like, I guess a lot of it will be more natural based because a lot of they work really closely with nature, right? They rely and depend on their creatures, so they have to take care of them, and then also they have to be able to just kind of camp out wherever. So a lot of like working with nature, working with animals, and then also magic that enhances combat, right? So it's like enchanted arrows or like enhancing your accuracy, that sort of stuff.
Okay. So what sort of major important event? Like I think the most important event for your society sounds like they're moving from nomadic to this empire. Like, is that a recent thing?
Yeah. So it's basically like the empire at the rise of Genghis Khan. Right. So it's like they have just barely been formed. They've barely. I can speak English. They've been barely forged together into one cohesive body, right? Instead of a bunch of tribes, they're now all unified under one leader, and they're like, great, okay, so now we have basically an empire. We should think about expanding, and maybe
Now what?
now what, right? Like, do we work on expanding? Do we work on building permanent settlements?
What sort of mystery resides in their realm? What's the big question mark that even they may not be totally aware of?
I think either how did they learn how to tame their mounts, right? Because it's like, it's a freaking griffin. How? So either that, like, how did the first guy do it? Because it's more of like well, my father did this, and his father learned from his father,
Mm-hmm.
Or the other might be, how the heck did the leader unify them? Because their tribes had never been unified before.
So it's not known how he did it really. And even among
Yeah.
themselves, it's like, how do you do it? I'm not entirely. Now that you ask me, I'm not entirely sure how he did it. He just one day it wasn't a thing, and now it is.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Well, that's mildly creepy when you think about it. What is the threat? What threat comes from this realm that threatens the world? What is a world level threat that is born out of the realm, or is contained in the realm? Is another way to put it.
Okay, how about untamed natural magics? So like, they have like, say, fun thing that we can throw out, magic moving forests. Like, entire forests just kind of migrate across the place, which explains why they're always moving, right? They never have sedentary lifestyle, because if you put a building in the way, the forest will go through it. So it's just like, they're living alongside these crazy natural magics and adapted to do so, but like, if that got out of the realm and started rolling across, say, the nearby Imperials, might cause some problems.
So do you think that maybe the untamed natural magic, is that something that the heroes will have to deal with? It's like they'll have to somehow tame it or figure out how to get it back under control?
Yeah, like maybe there's like some sort of MacGuffin that like keeps the magic calm, or it's like maybe the actions of like a people or an empire like threw things off balance. Now they have to kind of restore things. Maybe it's like this sudden drive toward technology instead of natural magics is like throwing things out.
Also, hello.
Ah,
Arthur.
yes, the egg MacGuffin.
Yes, the egg MacGuffin. Hi, Arthur.
And based on your description of the Mongolian, it's like, hi Scott, how's the view of the Milky Way?
Shut up, Arthur.
Um,
Also, you missed our Faith of the Heart reference earlier.
and actually, this is something I didn't touch on, so I'll touch on it real quick and then throw it back to you. Denizens and creatures. I'm thinking. I mean, we've established that griffins seem to be a thing in your world, in your realm.
Yes.
In mine, I'm thinking like humans are the invaders, dwarves and elves are from the area. Sort of idea. So that's why I'm thinking is those are the kind of, and the most common types of characters are magical classes. So wizards, elemental mages, lore masters. That's mostly what's there. You don't see a lot of weapon masters other than from the castle, and even then.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of denizens do you think are in your realm?
Oh, let me grab the book.
Fabula Ultima there, Arthur. A
Yes,
Japanese TTRPG. Japanese style TTRPG. Made by Italians, but I believe
They have a lot of orators. They're a very oral tradition people. So they tell a lot of stories, transmit information by telling people. That's probably why they don't know how they tape things, because they don't write it down. So I think orators are big there. Probably a lot of what are they called? A lot of chimerists,
Beast mages.
right? Beast mages. Probably some elementalists, just because of the wild nature magic in the area. And then probably also wayfarers, because they roll a lot.
I wonder if there's wayfarers in their realm.
You'd hope.
The class all about traveling? Perhaps.
Maybe.
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
Knowing smile.
Yeah.
Any magical peoples there, or is it mostly humans?
Magical peoples? Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so
Presumably, 'cause
probably
you said that they got like the tent stuff and the magic mounts.
yeah. So mostly humans, but also because wild magic. There's probably like dryads, tree spirits. Maybe deep in the forest, sort of like more fae and fairy stuff. But it's like you don't go in the deep forest. Why would you go in the deep forest?
All right. Anything else you want us to know about your world before you have to take off?
Well, I mean, I'll have audio all the way until 7. It's just after that I'll unfortunately be gone. Let me see. Ooh, industry. That's one of the things you
Yes.
asked about. They don't export their mounts because that's like their advantage, right? It's like you get your hands on one of their tamed griffins. That's a crime if you're not a member of the Empire. So they don't export the griffins. So their main thing is it's probably animal and nature products, right? So they have like magic wood, say, or like rare animal hides, leathers, maybe silks, right? Like there's some sort there's that sort of thing.
Okay. Do they export their magical weapons at all?
Rarely. Once again, it's like, well, if we end up fighting you, we don't want to fight our own stuff. But yeah, occasionally you can maybe like, so they don't export it in bulk, but you can commission, say, a craft master to make you a magic bow.
Yeah, you can trade for one, but not
Yeah.
in bulk.
Exactly. You can have one. You can't have 1,000. That's our thing.
New voice? What do you mean, author? Oh yes, we do have a person that you didn't see on normal Monday game. It's Aura.
Oh.
Where's our new
Yeah,
person?
hi. I didn't. Yeah, I haven't introduced myself. Hi, I'm Mornon. I'm Temsic's friend. We play together in a different system, which is not streamed. Mutants and Masterminds. So if you've ever heard him talk about that, then I'm tangentially related.
Okay.
Anything else you want us to know about your world there, Scott?
That's it for now. I'm sure I'll think of things in the future that I can give you for like more future world building. But that's yeah, that's probably it.
Oh, so terrain-wise, I almost forgot because I have to build your map eventually.
Yes.
But I'm thinking. Are you thinking like steps with like magical moving forests sort of thing, or?
Yes, steps with magical moving forests, and the whole thing, the reason the wild magic trees haven't gotten out is because it's basically just a giant bowl of a valley, right? There's just like this huge mountain ranges around basically all of it.
Hi, I'm author. I'm the cute one. I'm cuter. I know we have a chat flame war already.
Oh boy. Hey, is K9 there too? Is that what's happening?
Here we go.
Now you need to fight. And would you? Is there? Well, actually, no. I have an idea of that. Landlocked, I'm presuming. For the most part.
Yeah, probably landlocked.
And are you thinking more? Actually, I'm thinking. I thought this might happen. I'm thinking you are probably gonna be more west of Aura's Empire, because I believe there's a desert involved in that one. We'll get to that, but I think you're gonna be more on the eastern side of the map.
Yes.
So rather than far north, like you're not going super Arctic, and Arctic isn't a thing much for you except for your high mountains, I imagine. Like you're not a winter.
Exactly.
Place.
Yeah, high mountains, and then like as you get closer up to the mountains, it's probably colder and snows more. But yeah, it's more steppes. It's like
Gotcha.
fertile grasslands and the giant magical forest that you really don't want to go into.
Ooh,
That we'll probably inevitably go into now that I've said that.
Yep. Well, it's a cool place
Fantastic.
to go to.
I have
Wonderful.
only myself to blame.
Put that there. So I'm tapping at it. Who's next on the firing line? I mean, who wants to talk about their realm first?
Coin flip. All right, Temmie, high or low?
Sure.
High or low?
Hi.
Hi. How are you? Oh.
All right,
review
all right.
it.
I guess I'm going next. All right, let me get my notepad document out because I wrote a lot and I have to try to summarize it on the spot. Okay. All right. My nation is this one. I don't know if you can see it's pretty tiny. Can't see it. The bottom right one. I have Oscara, Empire of Knowing. I pitched it as basically early steampunk Ottoman Empire, and the whole idea is that this is the forefront of Magitech. Magitech science, some advanced magics. Let's see. Should we go by category that we went before for your area, Corbinian, or should I just ramble?
Whatever's easier. I'll jump in if there's something I need to know, but whatever seems more important to you.
All right.
Things you want to make sure you want to highlight.
Yeah. It's a sultanate with a supporting council. The sages of the Council of Logos. By the way, you can check your DMs. I sent you the entire thing in text for later.
Yeah, I'll definitely be using it.
For you to edit and add to as you wish. Essentially, the capital is the fortress city of Alcazar. which is surrounded by a very, 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 very. I wrote a lot of varies. Tall wall, kind of like old Constantinople. It's the home of the Great Academia, the forefront of Magitech, and one of the higher education on this world. It's definitely only a sultanate. There definitely isn't the council behind them pulling the strings. It's fine. For industry, in addition to functioning as both the major land sea hub for trading between the main continent and off the side of the map, this country is also a major exporter of stone, metal, minerals. There's a growing market for technology to be exported from the nation, but any original precursor relics that the modern technology imitates as are forbidden to outsiders as they are to certain people within the empire. The empire has a long history of military might. There are many when it comes to denizens. There are many circles, many cultures. It's sort of a mishmash as you go out into the outer regions.
Mhm.
It's the species. The hierarchy is about old empire nobility. There's sort of a what to say? The word escapes me. Oh no, English. Oh gosh, there goes my 90 in English in high school. Using it great. Yes, but there is the center core of the old empire, and as you go farther and farther than that, you get into more of the conquered territories and the vassals and other.
It's very stratified that way. Like there's
very stratified. Yeah, exactly. That's the word. Thank you. 400 years ago, there was a major breakthrough in technology in the empire, making rapidly the most advanced scientific nation on the continent, sparking 3 centuries of imperial expansion, which only ended when all access to precursor technology became restricted. For the mystery of the world, the Council of Logos has been withholding information certain subject from people, between academia being restricted for some to all recorded knowledge and certain recorded knowledge and certain forbidden topics being banished to the restricted section of the Great Archives. There are even rumors whispered between folks that a small handful of scholars and seemingly unrelated projects have been mysteriously vanishing. For a threat to the nation, rumor has it that the latest earthquake in the forbidden sector of the desert has unearthed something unnatural. Shards of metal the size of towers sticking out of the sand, which descend deep into the earth. Perhaps what lies beneath best remains buried. And that's definitely all of it. All of it. Definitely, certainly. There definitely isn't more in that document I sent you.
Yes. So gathering that it's it sounds like there is the great imperial city. Are other cities further away as developed? Like, do they still have like the old city, new city, or does it get like very high tech in the core, and then it gets lower and lower tech the further and further you get, because you're talking about people who conquered only a century ago rather than having the huge uplift 400 years ago?
Definitely the latter there. It still is overall more advanced, but the sheer cutting edge technology is very limited to the old sections.
And it sounds like they like. Is there technological leap from what it sounds like? Does it seem like, did they get it, as far as people know, did they get it, did they discover a lot of it, or is it a lot of grabbing old, like, to pull from Mass Effect a little bit? It's like, we found precursor artifacts, we figured out how they worked, and now our tech is jumping up to, it's racing to what the precursors had. Or is this all original stuff that they're doing?
It's the first and second.
So a mix of the two. So there's some precursor tech they've rediscovered.
They used, yes. And then there is the imitation.
But we're also coming up with our own stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like the Asari. They just got a head
probably
start.
the guns.
Yeah. We can call this the nepotism nation,
the
sure.
Guns are probably... So like the guns are probably like this Empire original.
Yeah, we can say that if you'd like.
So you said they don't export their magic that much, their tech that much, I should say. Sorry.
Not the original models. The imitations of them, yes. The old precursor stuff, well, that they got a head start with. No, that's ours. We're still working on getting up to that level.
It's like we don't. It's like we're still figuring out how it works in the first place. We don't want you to get any chance to look that stuff up because that's how we get such a head start. So like I can imagine like you said, like guns, certain magical or technological magitech items are like some of the ones we see in the book. Like if you want a standard magitech gun or cannon, sure. But if you want like a magitech airship or something, it's like we don't tell people how to make airships. We might in hell we don't even sell the things. Sort of idea.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's the thing to highlight. 'Cause I was thinking about in that sort of Final Fantasy-esque sense. I can tell you that in Guacamole, it's a lot of people moving around on foot and horses, but there's not a whole lot of tech. But you sound like a realm that might actually have a good reason to have airships, and well, given you're connected to the water, you definitely have sailing boats for sure. Because we're, but would you say they're like, are they like they're steampunk? So like, do they have like steamboats? Steamboat sounds a little tame, but you know what I mean, like steam-powered ships, ironclads and such.
A mixture of steam and magitech, even. Steam being the more reliable and easier to export, magitech being the more local variant.
It's like our personal navy has a magitech engine. It's like, oh, a merchant ship. Oh, they have. We let our merchants use steamships. Like, that's fine. We don't mind. Why? Also, magitech's expensive to make and hard to maintain, and we don't tell people how to. Even if you stole it from us, you don't know how to maintain it unless you went to the academy, which you have to be part of the highborn. I imagine
You didn't.
Yeah. So, do they engage in a little bit of like gunboat diplomacy? Then they just show up with their giant, terrifying navy and be like, "Hi, trade, please."
Yeah, like lately when they were expansionistic, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah. Nowadays, they do trade just openly, freely along the border cities, and somewhat in the capital.
Capitalism. Okay.
Map wise, I basically grabbed a section of old medieval Byzantine.
I noticed.
So that's how
I wondered if that's what that was.
So large, very mountainous, a lot more mountainous than I thought when I looked at the maps. Like, holy crap, there's a lot of mountain. This is really nestled in there. Now, I did put this big desert area because remember we were talking about where the precursor ruins were in some of the notes before. So I kind of put like a desert a lot closer than it is in real, near like in Turkey and stuff. There's a lot more hills and plains this way before you ever hit deserts. Like, I'll put the desert closer because it makes sense for them to be like right there. Because I can imagine that like there's some cities here, and then as you go further out into the desert, it gets a lot more official and hard to do. Because you'd need the right tools to go out there, sort of idea. But I imagine there's a lot there. Like, do you think it's bigger than this? Like, is a further?
Yeah, I imagine it's bigger. If this was like an RPG, the desert extends to the edge of the map.
Should be further out. I can do that later.
Yeah, we can workshop it as we go. Sure.
I'm imagining that there's. I was basing where the empire, where the capital was, Alcazar, as it has in your notes.
Yep.
As
that's
where, like, sort of where Constantinople is, in that sort of straight, like, in this middle area.
Yeah.
Would you say that the sea goes out much more out this way? Like, in Earth, this would go into a massive inner sea, and this goes out to the proper sea. But for your world, is it like sea and sea, or is it like inner sea? Well, there's ocean somewhere, I suppose.
I'm not sure. It's a very good question. We'll think it over through the week as we go through the sinew.
And Empire's a bit bigger than this, so I can expand out this way. I was worried about making it too big, but now I know to make it bigger, and that's fine. I don't mind doing that because as you can see, I have plenty of room. I'm not hurting for room.
Yes, you do. Oh boy.
Because there's gonna be places none of us
We're
are
gonna
even
fill
talking
this
about.
world.
Have room.
Any other notes you want us to know about Ascara up front before that we don't that you want to hammer down at this point?
I think my written submission should be good enough. Is there anyone else has any questions? I'd be happy to try and answer them, but otherwise,
Is it bad that I want to go dig up the mysterious metal spiders now and see what's down there?
that is certainly your risk to take. Good luck evading the authorities.
Oh,
Our risk, comrade.
We're dragging you along with.
what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen griffin?
Oh gosh, I gotta get my
An
physics
unladen
notes.
Mongolish or Oscaran? It matters. Is there many? Actually, that's one thing I'm thinking. Denizen-wise and creature-wise, what kind of? Do you have any magical creatures or magical peoples in your realm?
I haven't really well defined that.
Hmm.
I was hoping to like look at what you guys got and then like quietly, you know, can I use your homework?
No, it's fine. I'm imagining that.
Sure, I'll change my name on it and submit the paper.
Just we'll swap the words around. It'll be fine. Each bomber guy won't make a video about us. Okay. I'm imagining that some of your threats in your area, like there's probably like you're very industrialized, very developed. Well, not industrialized, it's the wrong word, but very developed empire, at least in the core. So most of the stuff is technological in nature. Or maybe I can imagine some criminals having like black market magitech stuff. But like as you get further out, now you're worrying about monsters like in the mountains or desert monsters or sea monsters. But they don't get it, you won't see. I imagine the frequency of monsters drops a lot the closer and closer you get to the center, where it's like, well, now you're dealing with a very developed area that's fairly well patrolled. And very cosmopolitan, I imagine your main city is as well.
Oh, yes.
It's like, would you classify them as very xenophobic? Like if you're not from here, you don't get to go to the capital, or?
No, because the academy is probably open to foreigners if you know, like you pass the vibe check.
If you're the right kind of person, then we're if your ideas agree with our ideas, you can go here. If you don't, if you have very like I think empires are bad. Oh, that's funny. You don't get to go in. You think magitech is poisoning the souls of the planet? Okay, well you don't get to go here, I guess, because that's what we do around here.
Want to steal our secrets and run off with them? Yeah. Thanks for the application. No.
We have accepted your application for prison.
Anyways, I think that's all I got. I shall do my fancy little bow.
All right.
Ta-da.
Someone's managed to evade us, but for no longer. Emzik, what's your world?
Alrighty. Finally, off here on the left, we have the Noble Republic of Coriostellum, located along the Azure Gulf, amidst the gilded marble columns, grand forums, and labyrinthine canals of the capital city of Corio, is the capital of the Noble Republic of Coriostellum. It is run by 30 major and minor families of the Grand Assembly, which is sort of a senate of sorts that figures all matters of trade and law. I mentioned there are major and minor families, and that's because there are 7 major families known as the Septarchs. The leaders from the 7 major houses, they're the ones that decide matters of military policy. though they can be overruled by emergency actions of the the whole Grand Assembly can choose to overturn something that the major houses are doing if it's clear that the major houses are overstepping their power and authority. And also the major houses are useful for breaking deadlocks if because there technically is an even number of houses overall, but there's an odd number of of the septarchs. So the full houses, like the complete Grand Assembly, could be deadlocked, but the septarchs will not be, and they can break a deadlock. There have been a number of grumblings about corruption within the assembly, especially about bureaucracy and just how long it takes for things to get done, and some of those deadlocks, as previously mentioned. And there are grumblings that there's discontent among the lower ranks of the septarchs, and that one of them might be preparing some kind of a power play.
What would you say a major important event?
That's just sort of the.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, the major important event. So are we looking for something that's like super recent history or old history, or?
It's the sort of thing that heroes would know about. Like if you asked, if any of our heroes were asked about it, they go, "Well, I've heard about that." Like everyone's heard about the celestial convergence in the duchy. That's just known. But it's important. It's also important. You don't care about. Important event wouldn't classify as like, oh, by the way, they had a summer festival. It's like the duchy has summer festivals all the time. That's not really worth pointing out.
Yes.
But celestial convergence is a recent event that's super important. Or the Mongolian
So I
Empire's
think in the case of
unification.
I think in the case of the important event, I think it would be something rather recent. That being that, as I mentioned, I think one of the lower septarch classes is one of the lower septarch houses is about to make a power play and is going to be claiming is going to sort of be claiming control of the Republic for the people. How they've gone about doing so is kind of more of the mystery, and exactly which house it is I've kind of left a little open, although I am open to it being a certain house that I am very familiar with.
Yes. The Julii, I hear.
That's neither here nor there.
I was gonna say, are we looking at Julius Caesar here? Is that what we're?
That's kind of what we're going for. We're kind of the important event is it's kind of something Ides of Marchy.
Oh boy.
Beware the Ides of March.
Yeah, one of the houses is making a play.
So some people would know, even the average
and
they know
I've
something big's happening, but they don't know precisely who's doing it. But it's like everyone kind of there's that rumor of something big's going to happen very soon.
Yeah, it's known in the wider world that the wheels of political motion in the Noble Republic are turning in an interesting direction. Now, due to how information travels, it's quite possible that thing has already happened back home in Coriostellum, and it just has the specifics haven't quite reached the wider world.
Yeah, a certain Ultima point or two may make that happen. You're right.
Yep. I was going to ask, is there movement among the houses? Like, can you become a septarch house, and can a house fall? Or is it like, nah, these guys founded it, they're here forever?
Yeah, there's probably been some movement, but there are probably a few, especially probably among, like, the top houses. Are probably like the old established ones that have been around forever, and the lower septarch houses are the ones that probably slowly scrapped their way up through political wrangling of one kind or another.
By the way,
and it's probably the same among.
I was just gonna say, there's a question from chat. How often do you think of the Roman Empire?
Oh, every day.
Oh, okay. You do you.
Every day I think of the Roman Empire.
So social mobility is kind of rare. It sounds.
Yeah, yeah, not completely unheard of, but it's usually because someone pulled a tricky political move, did some did some classic Renaissance era politicking and backstabbing to. And that sort of ties in with the mystery I was kind of looking at doing, was the there's like corruption and power struggles like within Choreo and Choreo as a whole, and it's the question of who's pulling the strings and who's trying to vie for control there.
Who's really running the show? That sort of thing.
Yeah, who's really running the show? Like, even if the one who is making, even if there is like the house that I think is making the obvious play, is the one making the obvious play, how are they doing it? Like, is there someone who's giving them support? Is there someone behind them? Or is it really just what it looks like on the surface? Who knows?
I like me a little bit of politicking and political intrigue.
And what's your big threat? What is your world-threatening threat other than the collapse of the possible collapse of a republic?
Yeah. Well, while you would normally think that it's you'd normally think that the thing that would lead to like the collapse of a republic or an empire or what have you would be, internal political strife, civil war, that kind of thing. A giant lava monster will also do the trick. As there are stories of a terrible beast of rock and lava that dwells within the dormant crater of Mount Novio in the Lagris Mountains. And legends say that when this molten behemoth walks once again, the mountains shall burn in its wake. But that's very much something that most folks in Choreo chalk up to old superstition, because one thing you might have noticed in my discussion of Choreo and its background, they don't really do magic. People in the major and minor houses are likely probably able to afford magic items and magical things just as a function of their wealth, but it's not something that, like, it doesn't equate to status in Choreo because basically anything magic in Choreo is imported.
So it's one of those, like, I can imagine someone who might be status focused going like, I have a magic item. It's like, well, of course you do. You're one of the Septarch families. You're one of the few people who could afford to import
rich.
It. But your average carpenter or sailor
Yeah.
goes, I don't have magic items. What? I mean, I can get it, but I'd have to sail to another part of the world for somewhere where it's affordable.
They're basic, is what.
Yeah, basic. Yeah. But as for like that trade specifically, yeah, they probably do. They most of the trade is probably out of the city of Choreo. I figure that there's probably also a city or town on like the outermost border of of the Republic of Choreo that's like, this is where land empires can pop in and trade with us, and this is how we can trade with those that don't have ocean travel.
Yeah, I kind of had like if you see in your map there, I have a couple of I theorized. And feel free, I can change this, but I have like a Venice alike, so like a small island area that can trade that way. There's Coriustelum that can trade out, and smaller towns that are more for local trading, but the major trades out of the big city. And then if you're going north enough, you'll get to like two little mountain towns that are in the passes that go further out that way.
Yeah. I figure like one of those might have built more substantial roads or have access to a more substantial road out of the Republic that other powers, whether it be Wokomal or whether one of the lines from the Sultanate even manages to get out this far. I don't know.
Like imagine by water, it might go like all the way across. You know what I mean? Because you're both ocean bearing. Like Wokomal is a landlocked area, so to trade with either of them, they'd have to go by land somehow. They don't have a water. I didn't imagine having a sea barrier, but you both have sea. Same with the Mongolish Empire, if you will. It's like, well, they don't. They're landlocked, so they have to come to all of us by land. So you wouldn't see them by sea that way.
Yeah. And as for what they trade, the primary exports are marble from the mountains to the north. Additionally, those mines in the mountains also produce a small amount of gold, which is always a good thing to export and just turn into straight zenith. They also do a good amount of fishing, as, you know, it seems pretty obvious by its location.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I did put down that I don't know if how you would want to represent it and where on the map is that I figured down to the south there's some dense jungle land that is what they use to build their ships.
Yeah, I can put like a. Actually, that was one thing I was going to ask as well.
Their ships are.
Go for it. Their ships are.
Because I was just figuring, like, their ships are probably wooden. They're probably. It'd be like if you had a Renaissance era, you know, ocean-faring vessel, but sort of in the style of like Roman triremes.
Okay. So what you're saying is the Republic of Coriustelum is definitely going to be able to take on the Magitech Magitech Navy of the Sultanate.
I figure for what I got with Coriustelum is their thing is quantity.
Sheer
they
numbers
have
versus
large
quality,
armies. They have sheer numbers, large fleets, large, you know, armies of hoplites.
Would you say that
they don't have any like special super magical weapons?
Out of the four empires, they sound like the four realms, I should say. They sound the least magical. Like they're aware of magic, they know what it is. Actually,
yes,
speaking of denizens, do they have? Are they very? They sound like they're very weapon, non-magic focused classes. So a lot more of the weapon masters and sharpshooters and such.
Yeah, and orators and tacticians.
Definitely some
in
commanders.
fact, many of the many of the families, you know, many of the houses train their scions in such arts.
Scions as of the house, not scions as in psionic. That's the first thing I thought.
Correct.
I was like,
yeah,
no,
I have to be. I have to clarify. I have to specify that to you, don't I, Corbinian?
Yeah, Teptic's really into that psychic stuff. I have to hold him back every time.
Yep.
I do believe
Yeah,
Esper's going to
Corbinian does all the psychic
material.
stuff. Yep.
Would you say the Empire's bigger
anywho,
than I've depicted it?
Yeah, that's
Like a
maybe a little,
I say you have room to expand north.
maybe a bit. Yeah,
and more northward.
and then maybe a little bit more down in the south, just for to give space for that jungle I mentioned.
A bit more. Yeah.
But other than that seems about correct. I don't know if you have any other questions.
How many psychics do you
either
have?
you
No.
or no.
You touched on all the. Oh, any magical creatures or magical peoples in your realm, or is it mostly just humans and regular beasts?
Mm.
Like we know technological
Well,
beasts aren't a thing. That's the
most-
problem the Sultanate
any,
deals
like,
with.
Yeah, anything that would be like non-humanoids would likely be down by like the harbor, down at the waterfronts, where like all the international trade comes in and out.
Mm-hmm.
But you get less of it the further into the further up the central canal you go to the center of the city.
Like as the Empire as a whole,
You
it's not. They're not
probably
very
get
common, or if they
less
are around.
diverse.
They're. It's very mostly humans, and if there are non-humans, they're at the fringes of their society. By the sound of it.
Yeah, down by the waterfront. Whereas for magical creatures, yeah, there are probably some that dwell in the mountains. You know, big, massive, world-ending threat I mentioned earlier, notwithstanding. But yeah, there's probably creatures that live in the mountains. Probably part of the original reason why the Coriostellum army is so big.
They cut their teeth on fighting monsters in the mountains.
Yeah.
Well, you can also have some jungle monsters as well, because across the southern provinces you have
Ooh.
this other biome that you can run into where there's the wild beasts and stuff that are in that area as well.
And same with the Navy, probably.
How do you mean?
They probably had to secure their ocean trade routes. Although I think that might probably be less from monsters and more from just
Pirates.
regular old piracy. Because that was something the Romans had to deal with.
All right. Touched on all the main things. Is there anything else you want to highlight, or any questions that Aura might have about your terrible, terrible place?
How much do you like Rome on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'd say a solid 7 or 8.
I think you're lowballing a little bit, but
Rome
sure.
is fun. Yeah. Love me some Rome. Anywho, yeah. You know, there are some other things that I've talked to you, Corby, about behind GM doors, but
Yeah, there's always more stuff we can discover as we get closer to these places. Because I might ask, hey, what is this, or what's going on here, or what might be going on here, sort of thing. So
Yeah.
we have our 4 realms. I'll map out. Actually, there's one thing I'll ask here. How far apart are we from each other? Are there these huge gulfs of unknown turf, or are we a lot closer to each other? Because I imagine there's some water between these 2 empires, between the Republic and the Sultanate. Because I imagine you two trade with each other by ocean the most, compared to other nations further off map to the south. which you probably both trade. The other unnamed realms that are off the map that we don't know, we haven't really mentioned. Or would you say this is this is a large gulf that they have to cross to get to each other?
I don't think we can make it uncharted because our nations are like we know of the other nations, and thus having large swaths of untamed wilderness are probably not the best for trading.
There's probably at least like
Yeah.
you're either a lot closer or there's some charting in this corridor where you would know
I'd
each other for
imagine
sure.
there's probably some charting in that corridor.
And I imagine there's charts to these realms, like each of the realms, especially.
Well, I figure that
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I figure that a good chunk of like this here, like a good chunk of this space here in between the two, could just be water.
Yeah. You can fill it with water, sure.
Like little
Maybe
islands.
some like smaller, unimportant, like this land is mostly untamed. It's passable, but no one's really set up shop there.
Then the shoreline
long
ends up being,
reasons.
and then the shoreline ends up being somewhere more around here.
One large sort of bay shape.
Well,
Yeah.
We can move our nations a little closer, but like
if you and we'll figure out from Scott later where he's gonna have his, because I imagine, like I said, I imagine his Mongolish Empire is gonna be probably closer to the Sultanate by just going by theming. So it's probably either more this way or more that way or more that way, and then that's the connecting by land this way to get to here. Or so it sounds like there will be like this, there may be some like uncharted this way, uncharted much further to the north sort of idea, or the south, for example.
Yeah.
How does the Republic and the Sultanate?
A little closer to Korea.
You're thinking this is a little more closer this way.
Wokomol could be like a little closer. Yeah, not like bordering each other, but just so that Coriostellum isn't like entirely on its own on that side of the map.
yeah, we can put like some dividing mountains between the upper end of Coriostellum and like like that.
Like some real thick mountain ranges that like do not make sense to cross. Like it's like the Alps.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was thinking of northern Italy, the Kingdom of Italy, where there's this. When I looked at the map, some maps for it, it's like the mountain ranges are intense. It's like, how do you cross these mountains? There are two very specific corridors you can go through. Do not go through the other ones. What? There's all kinds of mountains there you're not getting through. Like, at least the mountains here are like, you can find mountain passes and stuff, but it's like, it's all kind of annoying. Then there's like, no, there's the screw you Alps of, no, you don't get to go this way. Like, oh, where do we go? The other way.
Sheer cliffs. Like, yep. Yeah.
And actually, that works because we'll have a balance of like two nations in the west and two nations in the west. West east. Yeah.
Would chat like to design a nation?
Yeah, and then we'll see what's over this way. That'll be something.
Well, yeah. Cause it'll depend which way the Mongolish Empire will be. If it's going to be more north of the Sultanate or more south of the Sultanate, or as we move the Sultanate more this way, they might be like here-ish, like they're on the other side of this vast. Well, this desert's pretty big, so he's probably more north or more south of the map. I'm almost imagining more water this way to the south.
Yeah.
And chat making a realm.
Yeah, we're gonna assign you two chapters worth of homework. This will be on the exam.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as long as there's like a decent water gulf like around here, that'll be good. Because and that'll really help like solidify like Coriostellum as like a maritime power.
I'm not allowed to make realms anymore. What are our parameters? We need to know.
Or make the realms either, because he'll just explode the sun.
We need customs and beliefs, industry, denizens and creatures, an important event that happened, mystery of the world, and a world-spanning threat to all nations. If you have suggestions, they may show up on the borders of the map. Who knows? I may pick on them with it. But don't worry, they found plenty of things to pick on themselves with. So
yeah,
don't worry too much. But you know.
Yeah, I think we've come up with some real good stuff. Oh, this is good. I like this.
It's all fun and games for your own page 8 of Churth birthing superstitions. Yeah, it's a high. We're in a high fantasy Renaissance. Well, actually, it's up here. This is kind of the main bit of the world that we kind of touched on. So if you want to build your own, but I think we built our realm. Oh, hell, how do we feel about each other? What does the Republic think of the Sultanate? What does the Sultanate think of the Republic? What do they think of the Duchy?
I could see the Republic having kind of this, especially considering that they're a little bit unstable. But the Sultanate is right there. You know, you don't have a lot of magic to defend yourself with, let alone magic tech. That could be the cause of some of the unrest, perhaps.
We need strong leadership in the Republic to defend us from
Although
the Magitech
we do...
Horde.
Yeah, and I mean at the same time also like, but you're also one of our most important trading partners because you're one of our more direct trade routes.
Exactly.
Can we really afford to annoy the Sultanate? Because that's one of our more stable trade routes.
Yeah, but at the same time, if something were to happen, the Sultanate were to become expansionistic again, would you be within range? Would you be within the reach?
Yeah, it's the calculus. That's the calculus that the Grand Assembly is that's one of the many calculus that the Grand Assembly is wrestling with, I think. I don't know how the Sultanate feels back.
How does the Sultanate feel about this Western realm devoid of the beauties of Magitech?
They're useful right now for imports of raw materials, yes. Form a valuable trading partner. They've got a pretty good navy, all things considered.
They fight pirates.
Yeah. They keep the pests away. They are useful for now.
So there's no real stability they have between each other sounds like a trading stability. It's like the reason we haven't fought each other is that we're very big armies, and right now it makes us more money and resources to not fight. But if that ever changes, we might try to invade each other.
Yeah. As for the duchy, I'd say the oh, pardon.
No, go ahead, because we're about to start talking about the same thing.
Yeah, about the duchy, backwater.
What do you mean you don't need Magitech? We don't. We actually don't. We have Arcana here. Thanks, though.
You're too busy talking to the trees.
I figure Coriastellum and the Duchy are on decent enough terms. They're a solid enough. They're a less lucrative trading partner because again, everything has to come by land and by cart through the mountains. So it's not super great, but also like it would to try to push up through the mountains and into the duchy would be infinitely more trouble than it's worth. So friendly relations are maintained. At least that's how it's always been. Also, Coriastellum probably isn't super enthusiastic. Like, Coriastellum probably also isn't super enthusiastic about the prospect of even attempting to keep a firm hand on the duchy if it were to come to blows, because it would mean that they'd have to administrate all the weird magic stuff they've got going on there, and that's just not something that Coriastellum is equipped to do.
Yeah, and they definitely have a very fiercely independent vibe as well. So it's one of those. It's a small area, but it's annoying as hell. It'd be a slog to actually take it. It took one man's entire lifetime to take it in the first place.
Yeah,
and even then, he didn't manage to do it till his daughter got sealed the deal.
Yeah. For all I know, maybe there was like a minor skirmish like 300 years ago, or like a couple hundred years ago, at which point the Republic basically agreed, okay, nope, that was a bad idea. We're not doing that again. We're cool, right? We're not gonna do that again.
Yeah.
We learned our lesson.
Do they trade much with their magical goods? Because they do produce they have dark steel, the magical sacred stone, and the magical wood that they make. Like, I'm guessing that they're going to be trading with the Mongolish Empire in magical goods because it's magic for magic. It's like, well, we'll sell you magic. Well, we have magic too. Do you want to buy some? have, need,
Yeah.
have, need.
You know, you know what? I bet that certain major houses purchase magic wood to augment their houses' flagships.
It's the flagships that are the real scary ones.
So those have special magical wood and stuff.
Because
in
the
them.
flagships actually have some measure of minor magical defense to them. It's not great, but it's not even the entire ship made out of magic wood. It's just like in the mast or in the wheel.
It's like, this flagship's more maneuverable than most other ones. Why? The wood has a spirit in it that makes it more... It's a very naturalistic magitech, almost.
Yep. But it's very rare within the Republic. Again, mainly reserved for the folks who are in the major houses, the Septarchs. And I haven't put a ton of thought into like what the top Septarchs are like. But that's a question, that's a discussion for a completely different time.
Shadowy figures looming in the dark. Woo.
Also, belayed, but I didn't get the ping. Thanks, their thing. But thank you for the follow, Celtic and Canadian Gerbal. Thank you very much for the follows. Much appreciated.
Herbal.
I don't know how to say things. So there. No. No one says my name correct.
Yeah. So presumably we'll work out with Scott what the relationships with the not Mongols are.
Yeah. I'm very much getting Golden Horde vibes. Like, I think all our three realms are going to be very worried about them in a hurry. It's like, who are these people? They're a bunch of steppe folk. Who needs a... Oh god, there's so many of them.
They're just kind of, here they come. And it's just like the Zerg rush.
Yes.
I figured Coriostellum's probably less worried about them because there's the Duchy of Wokomal as a buffer.
Yeah, and Wokomal is unlikely to join any particular empire. It's like if they were going to be part of an empire, they're part of that old church empire that's like way off that way somewhere. Like, yeah, it's like, are you part of them? No. I mean, we are by our religion, but not really. We're kind of our own thing now.
Yeah, if the Khanate wanted to come for the Republic of Coriostellum, they'd have to do so through the Duchy of Wokomal.
Yeah.
Thus, TLDR, it's your problem.
Yeah. That sounds like a you problem.
Yeah. And if they do come for the Duchy of Wokomal, well, we have time to prepare.
So, actually, I did mashing everything together. So
Yeah.
So each of us have pointed out our major historical events, the mysteries that loom in each of our realms, the threats that are born from them. The only thing I'll add in on top of Guacamole, on top of that syrup of a history, as it were, I would say that in a conflict between the Republic and the Sultanate, the Duke there is very communal and egalitarian in the sense that they're trying to create what they have elsewhere. But the problem is they're dealing with a very divisive, militaristic republic and a very magically, technologically advanced empire that's also expansionistic. It's like, our words are going to fall on deaf ears pretty quickly, but we're going to try. We're going to try to extend some level of trying to connect or trying to find what commonality can we connect on. And at this point of history, they haven't really figured. They've only just, within like last generation, they only just unified themselves completely and gained their magical power through their new duke. So it's a lot of,
Power
okay,
of
we figured out what
friendship.
we're doing, but what are we going to do now? How do we deal with our neighbors? What
Obviously, the
commonality?
power of friendship.
Yes. Less magical ponies, sadly. Though I totally could have done
And this
that.
gun that we found.
No gun. It's a friendship gun. No. By the power cosmic.
It's a friendship gun.
So in the book, for those who are looking this up, there are we've all came up with our own names over the last, we've had like a couple weeks to think this up, so we're not just inventing all this off the top of our head. We all did a write-up before we showed up today. We're just sharing the information together so we're sharing with each other, but also the GM can have an idea of what kind of threats I need to worry about. Like, I know now that if I'm doing any technological robotic threats, it's probably in the Sultanate. It's unlikely to be in the Republic or in the Duchy. In the Republic, I know pirates are a thing, so they might, if they go on sea journeys, or if they leave from the Sultanate by sea, there's probably pirates they have to deal with. And from what I'm seeing from chat, there may be something down here. I know from the Mongolish Empire, there's likely going to be a moving forest. So it's like, well, here's a welcome to meeting. You're camping. You see a forest moving towards you. What do you do?
What do you mean the forest is moving towards us?
Suddenly, the Scottish plays Final Battle's coming to mind. But anyway.
Forrest did not skip leg day.
Yep. Yeah. The forest did not skip leg day. Yep. So, yeah, I think that's definitely like a good... Yeah, like there was a lot of this that we came up with beforehand, but there's also a lot that we came up with here and now on the fly.
Yeah. That's why we asking
all these
asking each
ideas
other
kinda
questions kind of helps
came
hammer down
together.
those things. Yeah. Any final notes or questions about the world before we move on to group creation, as much as we can without Scott present?
I think I'm good. We can
Yeah.
move on.
All right. So, The next step is, what is our group? Now that we figured out the game world, we're now in a much more. I have many questions off, but I'll have to assemble that all together. I'll put it that way. But feel free to keep exchanging ideas in the chat. I'll put it all together and figure out what we're doing with that. Because I like the idea of a mystery realm that chat created that we that none of us really know. We imagine this other realm. So far, for those who are listening, there's little bits and pieces of like some sort of like island archipelago in the south or something like that, like dragons, a dragon ruler maybe. There may be mermaids involved.
That's the DLC.
That's a DLC.
The next expansion pack.
That's
of
the
Final Fantasy
DLC.
14.
That's the. Yeah.
There's probably some mystery empire that all of us are like, oh, what's over there? Well, our heroes will learn about it later. But no, I totally will go back in the logs and I'll collate it and then fit it together. I may throw those questions in chat later, next week.
Yeah,
next time, not necessarily next week. Next time.
Yeah. So we were gonna look at the what's
Group
it? The actual group now.
So, you are now determining, well, you two so far, Scott will have his input, of course, of what kind of group you are. What kind of hero group are you? The default they throw in the book, 152, is being brought together by fate. They call it out as being difficult, but it's very much we all met each other at a tavern and we adventured together because sort of idea. Guardians, one of you would be a chosen one that is trying to solve some big problem in the world, and the others are helping that person achieve that. There's the Heroes of Resistance type build where you're trying to fight against some great power, great darkness in the world, or some power-hungry empire. There's like 2 of them, so 3. So, plenty to fight against.
Like 2 of them.
There's revolutionaries, whereas Heroes of the Resistance are sort of like trying to fight against some big bad thing. Revolutionaries are people who are already in somewhere or a place that's been conquered recently, and they're trying to liberate themselves. And then the next one is Seekers. Seekers are the type of group. A Seeker group is the type that's, quest for the Holy Grail sort of thing. We're looking for a magical thing that'll help out the world, or we're trying to solve some sort of problem. Those aren't prescriptive. They're not exclusive. Those are just the main ideas that they throw out there. What do you two think? What kind of heroic group do you want to be in this world?
It's a good question. Considering that we're all starting from very different nations, I'd say revolutionaries is out. Just a process of elimination.
Right.
Yeah, because otherwise you'd all have to build from the same. Because you can build. You don't have to build from the nation you made, although you'll probably want to because that's the one you made. But you can, if you all built from a single realm, then it's like, well, that realm could be the revolutionary story. And add on, brought together by fate can usually transforms into something else. It becomes, if you're all in a particular realm and you find out, oh, this realm's actually super crappy and Emperor Nero is a terrible person. It's like, okay, revolutionary suddenly becomes a lot more relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd say-
I think that would probably be the good one. Like the brought together by fate is probably about what we're looking for, because I can definitely see all of our characters who are all coming from very different backgrounds, like coming together in a really entertaining way. I don't know exactly what it would be yet.
Yeah. I'm seconding brought together by fate, with what it evolves into. If there's some sort of say conspiracy, the shadowy manipulator thing, then Heroes of the Resistance could work as it kind of evolves. It really depends on the plot you have planned.
So actually, to that, I will say that it is. The plot of Fabula Ultima is largely pulled from what you guys have told me and what realms exist. So if the party says I want to go, we as a group say we want to go to the Republic, and we want to go to that mountain, the plot becomes going to that mountain. If it's like we want to find out the secrets that hide within within Alcazar, well, that becomes the plot. I do have the castle that pierces the horizon as a way to, and that a way to pull you together is one way I might do it. I might pull you together through the castle. But if you guys have a certain thing you want to do when you start your session 0, like we want to start in a certain area and do something, I'm going to follow where that goes and follow that line. The castle will introduce itself at some point. I could do it right away. I might do it later after you do a bit more adventuring, and then the Duke says, hey, I want to talk to you guys for a second. Because you could tell him no. I have an idea what the Duke might say in Castle Highmount, but you guys might refuse him. And if you do, the story goes on. The castle just becomes a more background thing rather than a more prominent part of the story. So heroes, there are questions that are added to that brought together by fate. We'll worry about those once we have gone over character creation a little bit. So as I understand it, both of you, I think, have some people have put some stuff in already. There. I can now. I'll throw.
I accidentally made one extra sheet, and I don't know what to do with that. So
I can get rid of that.
Kill it, please.
Extra.
Oh, cool. Oh, she looks great.
It's very basic shading. I had to make it on the fly as we started the game. What is it with me and me starting live streams without everything done?
I never do that.
But there's my girl. Behold, I'm going to introduce you all to a new concept called Girl Curse, which is called every time I try to make a girl character in a tabletop game, everyone in the party outside of game gets the worst luck imaginable forever. Last time I tried for Starfinder, a tornado hit my city. So, have fun dealing with that.
Challenge accepted. Wait, it's not challenge. You really tell me bad things are gonna happen. Yeah, okay, yeah, no,
Corbinian, they are not kidding.
I'm not kidding.
It is spooky.
Natural disasters,
It is Will Wheaton dice curse level.
horrible luck, acts of God. I don't know what it is, but like, welcome.
Yeah, it's Will Wheaton dice curse levels of what?
You're not allowed to roll my dice. They're over here, far away from you. You can't roll them. Stay away. So sorry. One moment, please. Hydration is important. So what is each of your characters? Well, we have the names because they're on screen, but how would you say them? Who are your characters? I believe it's Zevran Demiral and Lucius Avantus.
Yeah, 7 Demerol
Yep.
and or Temsixes. All right, put on your best fancy accent.
Corbinian got it. Lucius Avantus.
God, I can't get away from Lucius's. What is your character's identity? What is a short sentence that briefly summarizes how they see themselves currently?
Let me get my sheet out. Mine is the rowdy, rough and tumble, lowborn mechanic. I know what you all were thinking. I'm making the realm of scholars and everyone. I'm gonna definitely play a scholar. No. The scholars are the people who invent stuff. I have to maintain it.
And what of Avantus?
He is because it's the way he sees himself. Yep. I've actually adjusted it now. He is the 4th scion of the House of Avantus.
what is your character's theme? Strong ideal, emotion, feeling that dominates their actions. In the book, for those themes can be a lot. For those who are watching, identities are very like that. They're just one-line summaries that identify what you are. Theme is more in the. They have tables and stuff if you're like completely at a loss. But themes, they have some they're not again prescriptive, but there are certain themes that are very simple. So, what are the themes of these characters? What is Zevin's theme?
Ambition.
That's Aventus's theme. Aventus' theme is ambition.
Anger.
Anger.
Damn
Oh
it,
no.
Colin is done.
Oh no.
Um,
I'm in danger.
You are in danger. Run.
what is your character's origin? Where are you from?
I'd say, well, nation of Oscara, of course, but likely one of the border towns. Some backwater, nothing. Moved to the capital at some point, but yes.
Would you say you're closer to like the desert area, like closer to the your village was near the precursor stuff, or is it more further into the conquered lands?
That is a good question.
I ask those from time to time.
Yeah, that's a real brain melt of a question. I'll think on it.
Yep. What about Avantus? Where's he from? What is his origin?
Avantus is from the noble republic of Coriostellum, specifically the capital city of Corio, and spent most of his time in and around the like all the major forums of the Great Assembly, or the Grand Assembly, was it?
Your world, you tell us.
Another grand or great. Shush.
Grand.
You
is what
better
you have in
figure
the
it out.
text. Grand Assembly, from what you told me.
Grand
Oh.
Assembly. In and around the Grand Assembly. Notably again, fourth scion of the house. So currently as it stands, he's not positioned to take any like major leadership role within the house. In fact, as it stands, shortly before the game kicked off, he was off defending some, being assigned to some small little border fort to like learn the art of war while not really having to do anything.
Like a quaestor.
Because that's the thing that what's the word? It's the thing that like would happen with like the children of like big shot Roman senators, is like their kids would just go off and play general for a couple of years.
You know what would solve being fourth in line?
Not having a third, second, or first.
Uh-oh.
Exactly.
Yeah. Believe you me, that is something that I'm gonna be talking with Corby about, because oh boy. Do I have thoughts?
As part of your origin, I'm guessing from Zevin at least that Zevin is not human by the look of those ears.
Yep. As stated in my denizen section, I didn't think that a lot of this through. I just kind of put them on like, oh, that look cute, and then I said, all right.
Probably some Fayish or
Yeah, sure,
Fayish
Elven,
or halfling human, halfling elf, fey creature of some kind. Because the way it does in Fabula Ultima is that there is no like elf stat block or dwarf stat block or anything like that. It's a way narratively, if your character is a type of fantasy people, then that can explain why. That's a way to explain how they have their powers. Like for example, I would say in the Duchy of Wakamal, elves generally make great arcanists, but are not very good entropists, whereas humans and dwarves are pretty good entropists, but they're not really good arcanists. That may not be true elsewhere in the world, but it's fairly true in the Duchy, just because that's more often. Now, can a human? Now, as a human, dwarves are more entropists than humans are. Humans are good at dark magic, at least in the Duchy. Because it's not them doing it; they're using dark steel to do stuff. And that's something that the old church told them about, so they know how to do that. But they've learned from these people how to be spiritualists, how to be arcanists. So that's that explanation. But I might say that how that's true for Zevin. It's like certain powers may matter, or it's just it's a flavor thing. It's like that's the way they look, and there's no particular part of their character of their powers that are derived from that. That's just who they are, you know. I'm presuming from Lucius's picture there, a human? Question mark?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yep.
Basic.
I'm just as basically all the major. Yeah. Just as all the major families and minor families.
And we're having a bit of a biblical chat
Yeah.
all of a sudden. Time to read several chapters of names. So,
Ooh.
what you start with 5 levels of character abilities to distribute among there are 15 classes. There are more classes in the Fabula Ultima High Fantasy book. I think it's like there's like dancer and other stuff in there, and there are some freebie. There's like 1 or 2 freebie ones that are on the website as well. And that's all fine by me. Any of that's fine.
What about the the playtest material? Are we playing with that in the future? I have not built any playtest material into myself as of current.
If you throw me a link, I'll totally look at it because anything. My general rule for most RPGs, I'll highlight is that if it's official stuff or something we made up, that's pretty cool. But if it's official stuff, I'm usually okay with it. So I would say yes. In the same way that if we were doing a techno fantasy book, we can still use the high fantasy book. It's just that some of the stuff in it doesn't make as much sense, so we wouldn't use it. But you know, a dancer's a dancer. Whether you're dancing to a cyberpunk techno beat or to a lute, a dancer's a dancer.
Okay.
So what are the classes that each of you have?
I've got my. I have picked up 3 levels in Orator, 1 level in Commander, and 1 level in Lore Master.
Oh, what's the ability you have from Lore Master?
Knowledge is power.
Okay. I knew the first 2. You told me about those. I wasn't sure what your Lore Master thing was going to be. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
As for me,
Makes it so that my build can more effectively use melee weapons.
Oh, gotcha. Go ahead, Zevin. Sorry.
I have 3 levels of Tinkerer. I have 1 level of Wayfarer and 1 level of Sharpshooter.
Ooh, are you gonna have a gun?
Yeah. Yes, I have 2 guns.
Magitech gun. Oh no.
I have the magic cannon. For Tinkerer, I have 2 levels of Magitech, 1 level of Alchemy. I have written it all into my sheet in kind of shortened form because the power section is really not meant for Tinkerer.
No kidding.
For Wayfarer, I have Resourceful, which is because my character is wandering. And for Sharpshooter, I do not know. I was hoping to ask the remainder of my party what I should put there. It's between 2 abilities: the multi-shot to fan the hammer, as you'd say, or the warning shot for if we don't have any people who apply status effects.
And that's gonna really come down to what Scott's got on his guy, and I don't know enough about that build yet.
It's not the thing either, so I don't know.
Is our sheet live?
No.
All right. Well, we'll have to pretend. I shall decide it for next session.
Yeah, and I generally have the rule
Yeah.
of, if we, because we'll probably, if we're still doing this an hour later, we can talk to him, but I don't know if we're going to be doing it that long. But, yeah, until you actually roll dice and use a power, I'll let you move stuff around. That's kind of how I handle things that way, because you might change your mind in the middle of it and go, I didn't think that they would have did. Can I use something else? Like, that's fine. But if you've used it, you've used it. It's part of your character's story now. Yeah. We really shouldn't backtrack on it. It's my thought on it.
Yeah.
I got plenty of gizmos and gadgets and guns and we'll spend 1/5 for the combat.
And gun.
Well, yes, we have the power of friendship, power of leadership, and the power of this gun that I have.
Yeah. I will say I can do a decent bit of buffing and debuffing with the stuff I've got from Orator. And there's some stuff from Commander that does some good buffing and debuffing. So if you want to go with a straight fan the hammer.
Yes. That's what I was thinking. Depends on what you have, because I have the smallest MP pool possible in the game.
I have a decent MP pool. I have what's my MP pool at? It's 55.
Oh god. 35. Like I said, minimum.
You don't have any classes that give you more, really.
I don't have any classes that give me more. And as much as it would be nice to have willpower, I know my character isn't very charismatic and is quick to fly off the handle. So it makes sense to put that other dice into might, even if I'm not going to really use it.
And that's other stuff. So what I'll do is I'm going to ask some questions about your characters and how they feel about their classes. So we'll pick on Temzik first because he wouldn't last time. Kept ducking it, so no. I'm just picking on him because I'm a jerk. I mean, I'm funny. So your main class, the one you have the most levels in, is Orator? Or what's your primary class for Lucius?
Orator.
Yeah. So
3 levels in it.
So the question I have that the galaxy at large, the weave, if you will, the spirits above and below, wonder. You are hilarious. See, that can cut 2 ways there, author. What does Lucius think everyone can be persuaded? Is it true that everyone has a price?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. That's the rule of politic.
Lucius
If
someone.
Go ahead. If someone.
Go ahead.
Nope. Good. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask the next question, but if you want to
it's
elaborate.
Very much the mindset of. Yeah, it was very much if someone can't be directly persuaded with words, they probably have a price.
If Phil's wondering, I'm getting these questions from the book. That's why. Because the players are also defining somewhat what their classes, what they think, what an orator is. So we've learned that orators, at least out of the Republic,
Right.
think you can buy your way out of most issues. That's good to know. So Lucius thought someone was on their side, but they betrayed him. Who were they?
ho. Older sibling.
How does Lucius feel about manipulating people, even if it's for a good cause?
See, he probably doesn't see it as manipulating. He's probably much more open about doing it, but he doesn't think it's manipulating.
What does he think it is?
It's just telling people what they need to do.
Give me money. I'm not manipulating you to give me the
Clearly,
money. I just think you should do it.
He deserves it.
I deserve it.
As a treat.
In the past, Lucius's words
Do
ended
you
up
not
putting him
know
in
who
trouble.
I am?
What happened? UK9.
He probably got into a debate with the person who's like his direct superior at whatever garrison he was sent out to learn at, and he got into some debate with him, and sure, he won the debate, but at what cost? This guy then decided to make his life a living hell for the rest of the time that he was there, until circumstances arose that made it so that Lucius was no longer there.
Thus we swing our omniscient eye upon the Magitech engineer, the mechanic, the tinkerer.
I see the Iron Sauron is on me.
This is a big red fake circle
on the
in the
hot
sky.
seat.
Is that a bad thing?
So that's what's at the top of the tower that shall pierce the horizon. Got it.
All right.
So,
Give me
firstly,
the tough questions.
name and phone. Zevin. Where did Zevin learn to craft? Did Zevin learn their craft from somebody? And what is their relationship with them?
Perhaps their family, being an engineer of sorts, runs in the family, or there was an elderly mechanic in their home village that taught them before they headed to the capital for seeking a better job and a better life. Yeah, that could work.
What has Zevin lost in the pursuit of progress and innovation?
Connection with their family, I'd say. They've traveled across the country, and then out of the country now. And when you're on the move like that, you lose the closeness in your life. Also, their patience. They've lost a lot of patience.
Is Zevin's craft something revolutionary, or is it an established field of work?
It's definitely established thing of work, but now that I'm outside the country, I can start delving into the forbidden stuff.
What item or effect is created through Zevin's abilities? What does it look like?
For the alchemy and for the tinkering stuff.
Yeah. When one is created or an effect is created. Sorry, I
misworded. For the tinkering, a small variety of tiny gizmos and stuff that shoved almost uncaringly into a bag. They rifle through and pull out. For the alchemy stuff, I'd say alchemical capsules that they fire with their firearm. They're glass potions. They're a little overrated.
Get very Dragon Ball Capsule Corp vibes there.
Yes. I did like Dragon Ball Original. That was a long time ago I read that last.
Save the prologue for next time, so that's going to be, because there will be a somewhat of a Roll logging moment. Well, actually, I'll ask the. Actually, going through character, so we touched on character. Is there any questions you have about your character build so far? Like, have you both built your characters completely, or do you need anything you want me to rule on?
The only thing I'm missing is my starting money and that one sharpshooter ability, which depends on our third party member.
Starting money.
It's you roll 2d6 times 10, and
Okay.
then add that to whatever's left over from your purchases.
Okay. Oh no. Oh no, I'm poor.
No.
Well, that makes sense, but that's bad news. I'm the inventory point person.
You have a grand total of 30 zenith. Your initial savings.
Well, plus whatever might be left over.
I have
from
nothing left because firearms are expensive.
Oh, you purchased your starting equipment, but it's like, how much extra do I have? Not a lot.
Yeah, I have the firearm, which is 250. I have the travel garb, which is 150, and I think that leaves me 100 left for a dagger. That's it.
Actually.
Yeah. Oh boy, that's fitting.
I was hoping to get a hammer, but it was slightly too expensive. Dagger's probably more useful.
And so tiny. I get for being
Anybody?
Beautiful.
So just so you know, I'm going to add on. You want to keep a. She went all in on this adventuring cake. Oh god. So you'll want to note, of course, on your sheets or at your table, what have you, that you have 3 Fabula points. These are resources that are used for various things in the game, ways to shape the world or pull your butt out of a fire. What I'm going to be doing is I am going to. Actually, I'm not going to do it that way. What I'll do, I don't have it set up yet. I'm going to give little tokens for next game, so you can pull them over onto your name.
Momentum special.
So you'll be able to track how many, because how much Fabula you have is known to everyone else, and it's known to the GM, but it's also known to your fellow players, so you can kind of help each other out and go, hey, by the way, you have some in front of you. Likewise, I have Ultima points, and you'll know how many I have. So you know if I'm running dry or if I'm building up a lot for some reason, or if I'm not spending them, that kind of may give you a hint that something's gonna build up, or there's just nothing for me to spend them on sometimes. It's like, I have no reason to pick on you. Or I just don't wanna, really. But sometimes, if a big twist happens, it comes out of Ultima points. I was gonna mark them on the tokens, and I realized, wait, in Roll20, there's an easier way to do that. I just don't have it. I don't have the tokens set up at the moment.
Yeah. We can use the little marker things in the top, on top, the bars.
Yeah. Well, like yeah, basically, I have like little graphics where you can pull, like, you'd be able to pull cards and hold them on your in the name, and would hover over your name. So you'd have like little jewel. I'm thinking of like making a Fabula gem, like a sort of a bluish gem for Fabula, and like a reddish gem for Ultima.
Yeah.
Ultima.
Another note: are we playing with any optional rules?
That's the next step for sure. I don't believe in optionals. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, if people don't want options, that's fine. I'm just making fun. I think everyone has poked at quirks. I think all 3 of you have, in DMs to me, have all poked at quirks. So I think we can have quirks as an option rule if you're both still cool with that. Because I think each of you wanted something from the quirks out of high fantasy.
Yes. Yeah, there are 3 quirks between high fantasy and the techno fantasy playtest, which are all basically the same thing with slight differences. And
they just reflavored them.
Yeah, there's a series of 3 transport. One of them is old transport. The other one is stolen transport. The third one is moving workshop. And they all are essentially vehicle.
Feats, we are playing with feats.
Forgot about stolen transport.
So what kind of? So I am gonna do quirks. There is a thing called zero powers. I don't think I'll activate those because they are fair. They're basically limit break types things. There's a bit of. I might unlock it later if people are like really keen on doing it, but I think as we're all learning the system, it's probably an extra it's an extra mechanic that we don't want to deal with right away, but we might deal with later after some event or another, is my thought.
Yeah. If we're getting let's not get a disc 1 nuke.
And
It's not at the moment.
not yet. One option rule I'm probably going to do is for so actually I'll show people a sheet here. I will show 7 at the top of the list there. No Lucius is. I'll pick on Lucius. On the sheet, for those at home,
Yay!
there are 4 attributes: dexterity, insight, might, and willpower. There is a people assign certain dice to certain stats. There's 2 arrays. One's the standard, one's the specialized array. Players are welcome to choose either. And when you do a check, any check you do is usually, unless a spell or an ability straight out says dexterity plus insight, it can be pretty much anything as long as it makes sense to both the GM and the player. Well, usually the player says, "Hey, I want to do this." The GM says, "I want you to roll this and this." I like the option rule where the player
Most weapons.
does. Huh? Say again, sorry.
Well, most weapons like designate what attributes you have to use for them.
Yeah. Now, if there's anything where it's fuzzy, I'm thinking of the option rule where where you players designate one attribute and I designate the other. So one you think makes sense, and I'll designate one that makes sense. It may be the same one, like sneak. Like if you're trying to be really carefully climbing up a tree, I might say, we might both say dexterity. But you say dexterity, I'll say dexterity, or I'll say dexterity, and then you say, and you're like, I actually might. I mean, for your stats, I'm not sure that's a great idea, but if it makes sense to you, you might say that. So that's one of the shared rules, one of the option rules as well. That's one that jumped out at me. Is there any option rules either of you were curious if I was going to activate or not? Or wanted me to activate?
Demi, anything from you?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
The playtest has campfire activities, which are it's mostly role play, but it gives you a tiny buff. I'll send that to you when I just toss the entire playtest to you.
Sure.
Right now. Keep talking.
Yeah, these are some things that we can knit. Yeah, these are things that we can nail down between this week and next.
Yep. Ambush, I'll let you all do if you get the drop on somebody, I want you to benefit from it. In certain cases, you would probably need it. I'm not doing any of the booster type optionals where you get extra XP faster and stuff like that. I kind of want us to, if nothing else, to pace it in such a way that way we're all learning together the game and not make it super fast.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So like Blitz and Booster and stuff like that. I'm not going to do stuff like Imbibement or MVP for those who are wondering. Those are optionals where people vote if someone acted the most of their identity or their theme, or they contributed the most to the thing. That person gets bonus XP. I'm a huge fan of that kind of system because then you have weird voting things. Some groups it works fine. I usually don't do it. It's like everyone gets XP together generally. Unless the system forces me to parse it out, I usually don't. And this one usually is everyone gets it. If you deal with a problem, everyone gets XP, sort of with idea.
Teamwork.
Makes the dream work. Ah, damn it.
God damn it.
Vote for the person advancement. Yeah. I will allow the optional rule of buying qualities on 267. So you can add. Although you have a tinkerer, so honestly, you have a person who's way better at it. But you can get people to for it costs like 1,000 zenit or so to change out certain qualities of weapons. So you can kind of customize your items and stuff if you want.
Yeah, it can still cost Zenit because my character would need materials.
Yeah.
GM's ruling on that.
Oh god, so much playtest material.
Yeah, there's a lot. I put the last 2 sets of playtest material in because it has slightly changed.
I get you.
It updated like literally yesterday. But the techno stuff is archived because it was in the last playtest material. It is published only in Italian, and I can't read that.
Well, sounds like I learned Italian. Not me though. I'm not doing it.
Study.
I'll ask my sister. She took like 6 years.
I was gonna say something mean. I'm not gonna say it. God, there's so much stuff I have to read up. I'll worry about that later.
Feel free to take it later.
No, it must be read
the one
now.
I'll point at the campfire activities in just a second. Feel free to keep talking while I'm doing that. Camp activities. There we go. For the December one, it is page 18.
December, page 18. Oh, God. Yeah, chasing down votes and stuff. Blades in the Zero Powers have Blades in the Dark style clocks and stuff. Yeah, there's a bit of something to it. They're neat, but there's extra fiddly bits. King and Kerbal, how did you do the world map for this? I did. I got the Hexoxo add-on on Roll20, and that lets me put on like little markers like this onto a hex map, and I can build stuff like that. The wooden tokens that I'm using are significant maps, theater of the mind, world map markers and stuff like that. I forget the guy's name at the moment. Stuff. That's where those little wooden tokens come from. And for coloring them, I just
Minions used those in like all kinds of games.
I just changed the tint, and that's how I get different colors. So this green one can be yellow, what have you, and I can change it. Because they're default white, right? So, and the world is not snow, and also it's a good way to show borders. Like when I show places that are Little 20 did not like what I'm doing. Little 20's like, you're showing off. Stop it. Stop showing off our products and our features. I don't like it. Also, I chose the wrong color. No, come back. I have a bit of desert now. Come back. No. So, what I'm going to do for in-between areas is I'm going to leave them white because they're unclaimed. That will kind of highlight their unclaimed areas. Like, none of the nations are holding on to them. There we go. And as for the layout of these maps, I literally just grabbed from Crusader King's 3. I grabbed the map of Italy, and then hexoxoed it out, and then found a section of Byzantium, hex mapped that out a bit, which learned a lot about that region of the world I didn't know. And a certain part of Germany is where the duchy's from. Certain people who've watched me run Star Trek know what I'm talking about. Although I only did it for like 3 episodes, so good luck. Yeah.
Oh, hey, no, I remember that.
Ha ha ha.
I remember that. I remember that plot line.
So before I was, that was page what in December? Sorry.
Page 18.
Page 8. That's. I did a smart. Let's try that again. What? Oh, the numbers on the thing are not the numbers on the thing.
Okay, camp activities. If you go to your table of contents.
Camp. I have the wrong one open. That helps. I was like, I'm not seeing it. What are you talking about? There we go. There we go. Camp activities. Get 2 different camp activities. A list of the following pages. Oh, so it beefs up resting scenes. Gives you more stuff you can do for your resting scenes. Oh.
You do some roleplay, you get a tiny buff.
That's neat. I'll totally use that. Hell yeah. I love cool camp stuff. Plus, tiny buffs are always nice. Yeah. Any other optionals that either of you were it sounds like neither of you have one that was just dying at the tip of your tongue beyond quirks, because I know all 3 of you were like, I want the I think Scott wanted an heirloom, like that's one that he was interested in. What quirks were the 2 of you thinking?
Yeah, I already stated one of the vehicle ones. Likely for a land vehicle, so I don't break everything. We'll talk.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, what's the one? It's Glorious Fate. Is that it?
Oh God, really? Wait, I may be mixing it up with the one I'm thinking of. Work. I think. You want Empty Hands, right? That's one you wanted?
Glorious Fate.
Glorious Fate.
Huh?
Oh, so you're working toward a particular. You want to be trying to fulfill a prophecy.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is that there is a somewhat vague prophecy that a child of my house will go on to do a great thing, and well, my older sibling decided, well, if there's only one child, then I guess that's gonna be the child it's gonna be. So, if none of my siblings are around anymore, then it's me.
So, reading it is something that we, the group will have to tie into one of the threats of the world, because that lets me know which one you're working toward. Because if it's something that if you're putting it in a certain area, that kind of tilts the group into heading in that way. Because if you're not doing your prophecy or you're acting against it, you can
Right.
It changes whether you get Fabula points or you get your hit points back and stuff like that. So we'll need to figure out together what your prophecy is and what it's tied to.
Yeah.
The prophecy has to do with stealing all the precursor artifacts. Wait.
Yeah. The only other one that I was remotely looking at was Fettered Heart, but that requires that I play into the doubt theme, and that I'm not super. It's not quite where I'm going with the character.
Yeah.
It's either. I think it's going to be either Glorious Fate or Rival Prodigies.
Oh,
and that would be like someone else from the Republic who is just as smug and just as insufferable as I am.
We'll hammer that out for next time for certain. All right. I have an idea of what's going on there. And, oops. Short of the actual prologue moment of the group of you meeting together, we've covered all the Session Zero stuff.
Huzzah!
I mean, we'll still need to check with Scott and tell him what's going on, but you know, he was here for a good chunk of it as well. But yeah, what are your thoughts, you two, about the world we're in and what kind of adventure we're likely to get on?
I'm excited. Yeah, I mean,
This is exciting.
we've all made very different characters, so trying to get them all in a room is probably going to haunt your dreams for the next week.
Oh, that's what the castle's for. I was like, how hard I was like, okay, I can just pull like that's what I might do. I might just pull you guys. I might have the castle summon you to it. It's like, oh, this the Duke of Wakamal wants to meet with you. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm thinking of doing, especially since you are very, like you said, you're very different people. And also, I think to a certain degree, my idea is that if I do start you guys here, this is a nice little tiny starter area to go from, and then like, okay, now that we're kind of done what we're doing here, we now together choose where we want to go or what we want to try to deal with together. Because there is right now these heroes, your two heroes plus Scott's hero, are all going to be aware of because these things we've talked about are stuff that your characters know about. You've either heard about it or you know about it personally somehow. Like, okay, well, we have to figure out which of the threats to the world do we need to deal with, because there's the void threat that's in Wakamal, there's this lava monster in the Republic, and then there's this weird conspiracy of people disappearing in the Sultanate, and maybe something really bad's gonna happen over there. Never mind what the hell's happened. Forget the threat he called out for. Oh wait, it says in the thing. There's wild magic out in the steppes that may need to be dealt with, so it's a matter of picking which one is more important. And I'll say that once you've figured out which one you're going to do, I'm going to have some ticking clocks going by that are going to see if certain threats get worse or better. But the people who are solving the focus is on the heroes. It's on you, on the three of you going out there, and you're the light warriors. You're the people going out there and solving the issue. Because each of our realms have their own internal issues that kind of are drawing them away from the real threats to the world, until you guys get them to do something about it, or you do something about it yourself.
Gotcha.
Rubbing my hands together evilly.
Gremlin.
Because yeah, to reiterate over the 8 pillars, because I didn't go over that last time much, but I do have it in the handouts as well, and have some extra stuff in there. Like the inventory item sheet, I have that in there, so we can just grab at it as we need. Yeah, there's gonna be ancient ruins. The land is harsh. The world's in peril from villains across the realm. We know, and I know now that I know about everyone's world, I now know what kind of villain I expect to run into in each of them. Like, there's probably going to be a main villain in the Republic. That there's the city. There's a more minor villain or villains in the city trying to do the big power play. But there's also this major villain off on that mountain who can become disastrous for the Republic and destroy it. Likewise with the weird secret hidden inside of Alcazar. Like, well, that could. There's the minor issue of the Empire's expanding. They're running into new dangers and new threats. And there's probably some minor internal scuffling going on. But the big problems in the city, where it's like, well, if no one does anything about that, if this capital were to explode or vanish, I imagine the Sultanate wouldn't do very well. It's like,
yeah, it tends to what happens in nations. I've listed some influences for when I was writing my initial write up in my sources. So if you want to pull from any of that directly, you also have the go ahead on that.
So yeah,
Oh,
so
boy.
it'll be a matter of what your three heroes do when they meet together. And the Duke will point out something that he might want you to do. He may be the guy who pulls you all together. Because that seems to make the most sense to me. But you guys will, for session 1, you can, in your prologue, because the prologue is how did you meet and why are you together? And then the actual session 1 is, okay, now we're going off. Our true mission is actually going off to our first quest. We're going to do a thing or go to a certain place. But yeah, that is session 0, Fabula Ultima. Any other questions before we wrap up, more or less? I don't think we have much, because I don't know if we'd be able to do stuff, because if we wanted to do a prologue, we'd have to wait for another 30 minutes or so for Scott to get back.
Yeah, and that, at this point, it's getting late.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, so. Yeah, any
Yeah,
questions you two
I'd
have?
rather not rush it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm fine. Yeah, we can
Yeah.
go over the playtest material in text afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Audience, any questions? Does anyone here want to debate pizza toppings or anything? We're good? Yeah, I'll take it.
I'm glad you enjoyed yourself there, Celtic Goth.
I'll take it as we're all good. We're ready to press start.
Ha ha, that's the thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Is
the
mayonnaise an
same
instrument?
thing.
What?
No.
I mean,
No.
it can
No,
be, I
Celtic.
guess.
Mayonnaise is not an instrument.
It could be.
No, horseradish is not an instrument either.
If you put electrodes to it and put it into a computer, you can get like certain waveforms which create sounds. Or you can record the noise and then you tune it. I'm ignoring Temtic now and I don't even know why. Think I'm good in questions? Okay, cool. But yeah, this will be interesting. So yes, we'll wrap up here. Much to think about. Oh yes, and chat, I am gonna go over into all that stuff you said in there. That's all logged, so I'll pull that together and I'll figure out how I'm gonna put that on the map. I'll figure it out. Mystery realm time. But for all of you watching, thank you very much for watching. Those of you playing, thank you very much for playing, and looking forward to seeing you all next time.
Yay!
Have a good one. Oh, goodness gracious. Goodness gracious me.
That went great. Thanks for all the setup. You asked some very good questions.